Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the Purple Pod. We got a fun debate tonight. I'm super excited about this one because I haven't had a debate like this since the Andrew Wilson one, so this is going to be pretty fun, I think. But yeah, shout out to Love. She's hosting, but everybody like the video on your way in, share it because it's going to be a really fun one. But go ahead, Lauren.
All right. Thanks for having me, Sergio. Everybody, I'll be moderating this debate. The topic tonight is going to be whether or not church is one of the best places to meet women and whether or not being direct or indirect is the best dating strategy to take. So as Sergio said, once again, I'm Lubs. You can find me on X at LubsAcore. That's LUBSACORE. You can find me there for any tech, economics, or daily debunk related posts. And we have Donnie J here with us, who's going to be taking the, the proposing side of church, is the best place. But I'll let Donnie do his own intro. And then after your introduction, Donnie, why don't you take it on and give us your your 1 minute opening statement.
Cool. Thanks for having me, Serge. I appreciate the debate. It's one of my favorite things to do nowadays. But yeah, my name's DJ Fuller. You can find me on Instagram, Donnie J Fuller. Mostly just share fitness, philosophy, and politics. Mostly just like funny memes. But yeah, so I've watched Serge debate a bunch, and I saw him speak with a couple people about whether or not Christianity or just a Christian church is a good place to meet a woman, and whether you should be direct or not. And I disagreed a little bit. Number one, I think being direct is the best way to go especially if you're trying to relate to guys who don't know how to meet women, who aren't social, who actually need help and need some instruction on how to go about meeting women. Being direct is the best way to do it. First of all, it's proactive. It gives them something to actually measure, like, hey, I actually went and did this. I was clear with my intention. I was direct. I do think there's a fine line between being direct and being overly aggressive or just being inappropriate. But I do think walking up to a woman that you don't know, being clear, like, hey, I find you attractive, giving her a compliment in some way, and then right then and there having a quick conversation and asking for a phone number is the most proactive and it's the best first skill for a guy to grasp if he struggles with meeting women. And then the better question is, where do you go about meeting women? You can meet women anywhere. The first place that somebody might think of is a bar or a club. I think this is a decent place to meet women if you're already social, if you already have friends, if you're already confident. But there's a couple problems with meeting a woman in a bar or nightclub, and we'll talk about those. I think the church, specifically a non-denominational church of some type, is the best place to meet women, not only because there is the same amount, if I go to a church service or a small group or a church group, the same amount of attractive women there as there would be at a bar or club on any given church. I mean, granted, I do go to a church where the service is about 2,000 people. My small group in itself is probably 70-80% women, and there's about 250 people that show up once a week to this small group. So me and all my closest guy friends, we'll see a ton of attractive women at that church, and we'll also see a ton of attractive women at the nightclub. The only difference is being at that church, it's an inviting, very, very easy way to meet people. There's all kinds of groups. If you don't know anybody, they'll invite you to something. So if you're brand new to town, you don't know how to meet people, if you joined my exact small group and went to my church, it'd be very easy for you to meet women. So yeah, that's my opening statement. I think there's a lot of problems with meeting women at a nightclub, especially if a guy doesn't have social skills already. And if he doesn't have any level of self-control, it can lead to a lot of destructive behaviors. And he might not even really develop any real skills. He might just get lucky or, drunk and forget. But that's my opening. That's W Surge.
Appreciate
Good
it.
point. Yeah, good. Yeah. So my opener should mostly relate to what you were saying then that I wrote. So, ladies and gentlemen, tonight we're here to debate a significant issue: finding wives in the church and pursuing women within that environment. My opponent will argue that women from the church are inherently better than those outside it, regardless of their past. However, this perspective, overlooks several critical aspects of female nature and the complexities of relationships. Firstly, it is essential to recognize that trauma in a woman's past, especially her sexual history, can have profound and lasting effects on her mental well-being. It is unrealistic to believe that merely praying can erase these experiences, and it's unfair to place this burden on a man who comes to the table with less or no baggage. My opponent's viewpoints also reveal a problematic Madonna horror complex where he categorizes women as either good or bad based off superficial criteria. This binary thinking fails to appreciate the nuances of female behavior and psychology. Evolutionary psychology shows us that women are not inclined to favor the long-term beta provider as much as they are drawn to the short-term high-status alpha, as they call. This means men should focus on embodying the qualities of the short-term mating strategy while maintaining long-term principles to earn genuine devotion. A man who idealizes women from the church, believing they are inherently special or different, is at a risk of pedestalizing and simping. This behavior leads to him to fall into her frame, making the relationship unstable and even risky. Understanding that all women can go through different phases in their lives is crucial. Meeting a woman outside the church during her younger, less damaged era and initially adopting a short-term strategy can provide more leverage for a successful long-term relationship. Moreover, genuine love and commitment are not confined to the church. A woman who truly desires and respects you will willingly adopt your values and follow you, including embracing your faith if you lead by example. You do not need to find her as a Christian. She will become one out of your genuine love for you. This is what real love looks like: a mutual and dynamic journey of growth and devotion. In conclusion, my stance is that men should seek relationships where they can maintain the upper hand and guide the relationship direction. The approach ensures a healthier, more balanced partnership based on genuine desire and mutual respect, rather than idealizing and limiting oneself to a specific environment like the church. But thank you. I gotta also say at the very end, I agree with a lot of what you're saying though. That churches are so social. I was a part of a church when I was 13. It was so social. It was really good to get social experience, and especially in a time like right now when there's no social experience. I agree, but I still think that guys should do both. And if they end up with the club girl or if they end up with the girl that they meet somewhere else, they shouldn't deter from it because it will be just as good, if not better, than the church girl, in my opinion. But yeah, go ahead, bro.
Yeah, so I agree with some parts of that, except for this distinction between whether or not there are good girls and bad girls. I don't think there are good girls and bad girls. I think overall, most women, depending on their age and where they live, are generally the same with their experiences, especially if you're talking about like sexual experiences. The only thing that I'd push back on is if a woman goes to a church, I at least have some kind of clue that she might want to live by some sort of virtue, right? So for example, if I go to a church and I'm trying to vet these girls, right? I do believe you should come from the upper hand, right? And when it comes to going to my church, there's mostly women that go there. So I'm coming from the upper hand. There's not that many guys. There's a lot more women. So it doesn't really matter how you go about approaching them. If you're direct, you're indirect. If you show up frequently, you'll be one of their fewer options. And especially if you're an attractive social guy, they'll end up pursuing you, which is what I think we both agree on. But when it comes to trying to decide if a woman is a good woman or not, especially for a guy who's not that experienced, which is the majority of the advice that we're trying to give to guys, especially on your channel. It's not guys who are super, super social already and are, have extensive social circle game and can pick up girls on the street and have instant dates and all this stuff. It's guys who are a little bit confused. They're like, hey, how do I meet women? If they start with the nightclub environment, I have no reason to think that any of the women in there, I have no clues that any of them are virtuous in any way at all. I have no reason to. And if anything, if I meet them in that environment, they're not going to be in a state, meaning they're not going to be sober, where they're going to want to enact on virtuous behavior. So when I meet a woman out at a bar or a club, the majority of the time that woman's going to be intoxicated, right? And I don't drink at all. I haven't drank in 7 years. I'm not against people drinking in general, but it is difficult to meet somebody and get to know them, have them remember you, and have a genuine experience when they're extremely intoxicated. Even if you're intoxicated too, there's going to be a disconnect, and there's going to be a lack of real connection. And the girl might not even remember you. You might meet her at 9 o'clock at night, and 2 o'clock rolls around, that girl blacked out, and she doesn't even quite remember getting your phone number earlier in the night. When it comes to church, I do think, and I will stand on it, it is the best place to meet a woman, because you at least get some kind of clue as to whether or not that woman is virtuous or not. Because the only real factor other than being attractive when we want to find a long-term relationship is, does this woman have virtue? Like, can I trust her to give her some sort of commitment? Can I trust her to have my kids eventually? And the nightclub, unfortunately, in my opinion, or at least my position on it, is it can be one of the worst places to meet somebody.
See, this is what's crazy. Like, I'll just attack this one point about how, like the club girls, some of the girls that I know, ironically, are the most virtuous, work at the club. Literally work there, or they're there because their friends are always there. They have the lowest body counts. They're the really pretty girls, and they actually don't drink because they care about their fitness and stuff like that. They're around it all the time, but they don't do it. And it's because they actually care about their health. So the thing is, I agree that there is way, way, way lower chance of finding like a good girl. Obviously, I'm not telling guys to wife up the girls at the club. The reason why you go to the club is the same reason why you go to the church. You're getting calibrated. And like you're saying that you show intent. You don't, what's crazy is I learned the whole don't show intent thing from church. I had a bunch of friends that were girls at church, and I didn't need to show intent. Like, you don't ever have to. The right woman will come to you. You never have to make it clear, like, hey, just so you know, I like you. You just did what every other guy does, and she just puts you in the category as guy that chases women, that has to pursue them. And even in the church, you don't have to do that. Like, I actually encourage, like, go ahead, do both, like I said, but don't pursue them. Like, let the woman at least come to you, because if you're going to her, she categorizes you as a certain type of male. And I don't think that that's healthy for a man to ever be categorized as that kind of guy. But I really want to go back to like the whole club thing though, because you brought that up a lot. When it comes to going to the club and being friends with people and women and stuff like that, you're not finding a girl that night and then that girl is going to be your girlfriend. The way social circle game works is that say you're friends with 5 girls or 10 girls. One night, her friend who's been out of a relationship, depressed for 2 weeks or a month, she's only been in 1 or 2 relationships. She's really sad because this guy that she was with since she was, in high school broke up with her, or they broke up, or she broke up with him. And she's going out, and you're just one of the first guys that she meets. She knows you. She knows you're Sergio, me, or whatever. And she's like, oh yeah, that's Sergio. I know he's friends with all my friends. Like, I know he like knows everybody. He's cool. You immediately have status. All these girls know you. She knows you're safe in a world of fucking dangerous men everywhere. Literally, she's like, oh, this guy is safe. He's not somebody that's dangerous at all. That is literally all I'm saying to do. I'm not saying to sleep with the girls from the club and do all that. I'm saying put yourself in an environment, because otherwise, what are guys going to go do? You can go play sports. You can try to have hobbies, but there's not a lot of places to go and meet and socialize. Like you said, there's church. I agree with you. Some churches, especially non-denominational, are super social. Like mine was super social, bro. Like I know exactly what you're talking about. But other than that, you still need to do other things. I have a bunch of friends here in Dallas, and they don't just go to church. They also go party too. Like, they do both. All the girls in the city are doing it. Every girl that I know that's like goes to, like, the girls I'm telling you that are bottle girls and like bartenders, they go to church on Sunday, and they also are around the party scene all the time. It's a very common thing to have both those things together now. Girls with their tits almost out at church. I'm not encouraging it. I'm just saying it's something that's happening. It's actually, I'm just saying how it is.
Let me
Yeah.
ask you guys a question real quick, if that's okay, just
Yeah.
to kind of throw something into the mix. So, because we're talking about church and also like social groups. So, what about if you want to throw in like church sanctioned like social events? Like, do you mean, Donnie? Do you mean just like church specifically, like going to services, or also events orchestrated by the church, like outside of service hours?
So yeah, it's a good question. So I'm referring to just being a part of the church in general, right? So that involves, hey, yeah, go to church on Sunday. Like there's merit to being a part of a church outside of meeting people, but go to church, pursue your faith. That should be a focal point of your life. Developing your own personal purpose in life should be a focal point. But yeah, anytime you're in a big church like that, like Sergio mentioned it a couple of times, there's gonna be all kinds of events you can meet people at. Like there's multiple groups I'm a part of. So there's going to church just on Sunday. There's a group that meets on Monday. There's a group that meets every Thursday, and then there's else you want to create out of that. Go into those environments, especially, and this might be, a little bit too subjective, like maybe an anecdote, but there are plenty of guys that I've seen in that group that have been going for a couple years. And I just started going a few months ago. I was in a relationship, so I wasn't going out, trying to meet girls, but there's a few guys I know in that group that are objectively not very attractive guys. If I went out with them to the club, I'd be getting way more attention than them. And they have very, very attractive girlfriends who are quality people who are like, wow, I never would have thought you would have pulled something like that. And it's because they were a part of this group for such a long time. And I know that's kind of subjective, but they got involved in all of it, volleyball game, all kinds of stuff.
I just wanted for the audience to see, like, when we talk about church, it's like, is it just like related to the church, like being part of it, or is it just services? So yeah, just to clarify that for the audience. Continue.
I got a question. So, guys, like before the show, we were talking. He said that OnlyFans girl Nala goes to your church, right?
Yeah.
So, would you, if you had the opportunity, would you date her? Like if she came to you and was like, "Hey, let's go on a date," like would you want to be with her in a relationship?
No. If I met her and we crossed paths in a social circle, I would not talk to her more than just like platonic friends group. I would
because of her sexual past, right?
Yeah, because not only because of her sexual past, it's how upfront she's been about her sexual past and all the vulgar things that she said out there. And the time I saw her on the whatever podcast, that's kind of how I figured out who she was. She talked about how her fetish was cheating, and I'm like, I'm a believer that if you're a deceptive person, if you're dishonest, that doesn't change, especially not like that. And seeing her in that environment, it does kind of bolster the idea of like, hey, just because a woman goes to church doesn't mean she's a good woman. It just kind of points me to, hey, I got some evidence that she might want to be a good woman, right? And I agree when you say when a woman really likes you, she'll adopt whatever values that you have. Like you mentioned on a podcast that I watched, that it doesn't matter what you are politically. After you date me, you're going to be a Republican. So I really don't care. And I've really started taking that because I've met girls who are super, super liberal. And after I dated them for a few months, like all of a sudden they don't care that I have a Make America Great Again hat. And they start to change. So for me, I feel as though women thrive when they have some sort of guidance in their life. And if, family isn't doing it, if they're lost or broken or have a lot of trauma, at least the church is something that can give them some kind of personal guidance.
The reason why I was bringing up Nala though was because you just said that you have friends that have found like good women in the church, and she's a prime example though. What I'm talking about, where we think they're great. Like, yeah, somebody could start going to church and start wearing sundresses and start saying all types of things or acting different. But the past is the past, and that's why like a lot of my original point was women really. So I really believe that women are destroyed by trauma, like, and it goes into their children too. Like it's a big deal. We protect women are the vulnerable sex, and men are the disposable sex. So since they're vulnerable, we have to protect them. Because if they go through trauma and it goes into the kids, it fucks up generation after generation and shit. We got to protect the women. And we know that today more women are damaged than ever before. It's not even probably because of something that happened in their past. It could just be pornography starting at 12 o'clock or 12 years old on an iPhone. It doesn't even have to necessarily be like something bad actually happened to them. So I don't think that guys should trust these type of women, especially like if you were saying I'm going to church and I'm only going to find a girl under the age of or in between the age of like 19. I don't know how old you are, but I like to do the cut in half and add 7 rule. But like if you were trying to get a girl that was younger, like say out of her first or second or third relationship, like not a girl that's been ran through and like lived and traveled everywhere and done like a whole life and she's 33 and changing her mind now. Now, if it as long as it wasn't that, then I think I could have a little bit more like, yeah, that's fine, bro. But I don't think guys that are in church, I don't think that they're doing that. I think that if a 28-year-old woman that says she had a horrible past, it comes by them and she does the right things, I think that he will slip and he'll slip into that vagina and I think it'll hurt. And that's why like I just don't want them, just even being around that or just having that mentality of, oh, she's a Christian. It's the Madonna whore complex. It's like she's a good girl. She's in church. She's good. She's good now because women for all of history, they had to be very, very manipulative and they had to do everything covert as fuck. Because if you had to survive as the smaller sex, when you could easily get fucking killed by just getting hit over the head with something by a man next to you, they are covert as hell, bro. And if they need kids to be taken care of, like if they're a baby mama or anything, bro, they're going to do some crazy covert shit. They're going to say and do, they're going to act, they're going to change their whole life. But low key, bro, sometimes they're evil and they're doing evil shit in the background. So it's the Madonna whore complex for me.
You're right. But I agree with you when it comes to the trauma. But let's be real about where the trauma comes from. The trauma comes from making poor choices when you're a child, not having a lot of families are broken, man. A lot of girls are. I was raised by a single parent. I just had a mother around, and my twin sister suffered immensely because she didn't have proper guidance. My mom didn't do anything wrong. I had an amazing mom. I just had a really crappy excuse for a father who was never around. I haven't seen him since I was 4 or 5 years old. My mother didn't do anything wrong, but he wasn't around. And my younger sister, my twin sister, she had no guidance. And by the time she was 12, 13, 14, she was doing all the things that college kids are doing that she shouldn't have been doing. So the trauma doesn't come from the church. The trauma comes from not having a proper figure to guide you.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying that the trauma comes from the church at all. I'm saying that the church can't fix the trauma. That's what I'm saying.
I disagree. I think there are very few places that can even attempt to mend any kind of trauma in life, and the church is one of them. On the other side, I would argue that if a girl is 18, doesn't have any real guidance, and she starts going out to the nightclub, underage drinking, and doing, I mean, like I'm 30. I know you're in your 30s too. Like we know what it was like to go out to the club 4 or 5 nights a week, binge drink, use drugs, sleep with whoever all the time. That's the problem. That's where women get their trauma, is through being in an environment where they start using drugs and alcohol. Then they think it's fine, or they're taught that it's fine, or nobody pushes back that it's not okay to start sleeping around with different guys. Then they have trauma issues. Then they have trust issues. And the next thing you know, this girl's been with, 30, 40 guys, and she's 19 or 20, and she met all those guys in an environment fueled by drugs and alcohol. The church, if she got involved in that early, there's at least a chance that she would have had some sort of guidance and some sort of figure saying, hey, don't have premarital sex. Don't use drugs. Can I say sex on YouTube? Sorry. Don't use illicit drugs. Don't binge drink. Stay away from men who just want to sleep with you right away, because that environment, and I'm not saying clubs are bad. I go to them twice a week. I go every Friday and Saturday. I'm out at the club. I'm out at bars. I'm talking to people, but I'm doing it sober. And very, 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 I've yet to meet another guy who's out talking to women, having a good time, letting loose, sober. And most of the women, the problem that I find myself is most of the women that I meet around 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, they're hammered. And I see it firsthand through a sober lens, how many poor decisions these girls are making. And I see it from all ages. And that environment, just being out late at night, drinking, bars, clubs, all that, that breeds trauma. And that's why I think if you want to meet a woman who's at least trying to mend and trying to be better, and at least giving you signals that she wants to live on virtue, and the church isn't I'm not saying if you go to church like whoop-de-doo, you're healed now, but at least it starts the process. Because I mean, you look at like AA. Most of AA is through churches. Most rehab centers are funded and started by churches. It's an environment where you can heal from any sort of mental trauma or addiction. and continuing the cycle of going out to bars and clubs at night isn't going to solve that cycle. It might even perpetuate it and get a girl in a situation where she's never going to heal. That's why I'm back on clubs. Like I go to clubs, I go to bars, and don't get me wrong, like there's nothing better to do on a Friday or Saturday night than to go out with your friends at 9, 10, 11 o'clock and have a couple of drinks, play some pool, dance to some music, sing karaoke. There's nothing better. But that environment, in my opinion, is not the place you're going to meet a woman that for sure is a good bet on a serious relationship.
This is what you keep going back to this like it's like an axiom to you that like club equals people doing XYZ, and I got to keep going back to this. It's not true. Like my girl, I'll give you, there's better axioms to look for. Like, does she have a father? It's very dangerous because like, say like you're a guy who's gone through trauma. Say like you don't have a parent growing up, and then you find a girl who went through the same thing, and you're like, like we can pray about this together. Like we both are going through the same things in life, and like the same traumas, and I can fix this. This is a common mentality that a guy can accidentally get, not on purpose. It just happens because he's in a place and he has this mentality. He thinks that you can forgive of these things. And I just don't think you can. And like the thing is, it's really bad to have that Madonna, once again, like the Madonna whore complex, because if you look at these girls that are at the club, and once again, I'm saying like a girl can come into the club one night who's not a drinker. And once again, I go and I don't drink. I don't drink. You can go and complete, and you just said that you don't either.
But
so
most people are drinking.
Yeah. But dude, we're not talking about most people though. Like we're talking from an individual mindset of who we are. We know that we're not going to go do anything bad, and we know that there's other people in the world that have the same mentality as us. Is the percentage low? Yes, but there's definitely other people with the same mentality. But because y'all are both different and special, what's going to happen if y'all make a bond or y'all make a friendship? It's a special friendship because y'all are different from everybody else at that place. So you got to understand, it's actually not that hard. It's not like, I don't like having this mentality of it's impossible. Like, I'll be honest, I met my girl at Hooters, and I was friends with all the girls there. Like I was friends with all the girls that worked there, and she just started working there. I don't judge her based off of her working there. She was just going to a job while she was also going to school. And she came from a great household with 2 parents. Her father is an awesome fucking father. There's all these good things about, and I've met tons of girls who work at Hooters like this that have awesome families, really good fathers in their life. Like they're not horrible. They're all in relationships right now. All have low body counts. All really good girls. Like the really big thing that you have to watch out for is like girls that are 4 to 6s or 4 to 7s, because those girls are like insecure. They're sleeping with guys that are 9s and 10s and thinking that they're a 9 and a 10. The girls that are like 7, 8s, and 9s, bro, like the really hot girls that sometimes work at these places and they have to commodify like their life because they have bills to pay and shit like that today. We like to judge them and be like, oh, you're a horrible person. They're actually just really good, normal people. Like there's nothing wrong with them. They're not automatically a hoe just because they work somewhere where they might wear shorts. It's like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, let me be more clear in my position. I'm not saying that just because a woman goes out to a club that she's necessarily drinking or she's a bad person or she's a hoe. I'm not saying just because I've met strippers who are great people who are, I've met girls who worked at the club.
That's going too far right there, bro.
I'm just saying, just because a woman has a certain job or title doesn't necessarily mean 100% that she's a bad person or a hoe.
Do you see it's equal though? Like whether we tell people to go to the church or we tell people to go to the club.
Let Donnie finish real quick.
Here's my position though. It's simple. If you're trying to screen and vet for the best women who are going to stand on virtue, right? You don't go, just because you show up to the club, you have no idea what you're getting into. You got to figure it out on your own, which takes a lot of social skills. It's hard to vet a woman in the club. There's a ton of ways it's hard. First of all, she's dressed probably pretty revealing. She might not be, but she's dressed really nice. So you're not going to be thinking about her personality as much. You'd be like, oh, this girl's hot. She might be drinking alcohol. It might be loud, dark, crowded. There's a lot of barriers for you to getting to know who this girl is. I get it. Like you can meet a girl at the club and you can talk to her later when you're getting pizza, or you can talk when you're walking to the next place on the street where it's not loud. All I'm saying is if you go to a church, you at least have an environment where it's not competitive. There's not a ton of loud noises. It's not dark. It's not super overly crowded to where you can't talk to somebody. And you at least have some sort of idea that this woman might be a good person, right? And at least she's somewhere that's trying to guide her to something better. So if we look at just the environments, right? And my thing is, you can meet a good girl anywhere. It doesn't matter what she does, but it takes you know this. It takes a lot of skill to try to figure out if she's a good girl or not. A lot of guys get sucked.
That's where we disagree. I don't think it takes skill at all.
I that's why I push back. I think it takes getting to know female nature in general, which most guys don't know. Because
it takes reps in the game, but when you sit at home and you play video games like most guys do today, yeah, they don't have reps. They're not around women, and you can just be friends with them like Christ was.
Yeah, it takes, you can be friends with them for sure. And I'm not saying that you can't go out with your friends to the club. I do it on the weekend. I take girls to the club. They're just my friends. I have tons of friends that I meet at the club. But my whole thing is the environment. The club isn't breeding any virtuous and anything of virtue. The club isn't breeding a place where people want to better themselves. For the most part, clubs breed a lot of degeneracy. And that's where most of the degeneracy in the world happens, is after 10 o'clock at night at a bar, restaurant, or club. And I'm not saying that just because you're in that environment that you're going to be a bad person. Just because you're in the bathroom of a dive bar means you're doing cocaine. It doesn't mean that at all. But that environment breeds certain things. And if a girl only goes to church and she doesn't go to the nightclub, she's better off than a girl that doesn't go to church and only goes to the nightclub, because she's going to get sucked into, she can get sucked into things that are not good for her. And on the other side, if she's at a church, she can get sucked into things that are good for her. So that's why I push back on the whole nightclub thing. Can you meet good women at a nightclub? Yeah, you can. But it's harder. I mean, if we just look at the environment in itself, most guys have a much harder time talking to a girl where it's loud. They won't approach because it's loud. Most bars and clubs, you have people all around. You've got guys that are next to the girl, so the guys won't approach her at all. And then there's the whole alcohol component. Some guys will go out there and they'll be, I love that you go out sober. I go out sober. I encourage my friends to do it. But the reality is, like, they won't do it. They won't. Most of my friends, probably most of the people you know, they're going to have 3, 4, 5 drinks, and they probably won't even approach a girl until they've had 1 or 2. Right. So, and that's just, it can lead down a bad, it can lead you down a bad path if that's your primary way of meeting people. Can you meet club? Can you have fun at the club? Yeah. So my highlights of the week is when I'm out at the bar and club acting a fool with my friends. But I also understand that there are tons of quality women sitting next to me in church who are literally at the end of the service standing there waiting for somebody to come talk to them. And I do it all the time. And I have never, just from a guy who, you take a guy who's, we're both not shy. We both know how to talk to women. But if you take a guy who's like, okay, I see a girl I like, I want to go talk to her. If he's in the club, there's a lot of things in his way, right? But if I'm at a church service or I'm in a church group, there's literally nothing in my way. A guy's not going to get rejected at a church group. The girl's at least going to talk to you. Like, you're at least it's easy to make a friend there. In the club, there's a lot of barriers in your way, especially for a guy who's not comfortable in that environment, who's not used to it, who's not social in general. The average guy who's most of the time he's sitting at his house playing video games. It's going to be easier for a guy to meet a woman in I think of it as like a non-competitive environment, which is like a church or anything that's day game related. I prefer day game over night game personally. But at a nightclub, there's a lot of things competing for that girl's attention, and it's harder for that guy, especially if he's not social, just to get her attention and have a conversation. So that's
in real quick, just to kind of get this back on track, because I think now we're kind of going in towards like a barrier to entry sort of scenario versus, meeting the type.
There was like a really good point that I was waiting for him to say, and like I wanted to respond to, because I was waiting for the word. Yeah, there was a word that I was waiting for you to use in this talk, and you used it. You said virtue, man. And this is the thing. Do you think you're supposed to virtue signal as a Christian?
No, not at all.
Okay, so people who go to church, a lot of them are just virtue signaling. I don't want a girl who wants to virtue signal. I want a girl who actually just is a good person, and that's it. You don't like just a good person, and she doesn't have to virtue signal by going to church or by saying, "Oh, I'm saved now," or "I'm different." No, like the girls to me, it's crazy, because I'd argue someone virtuous in the bad environment shows more than the church girl who was that way beforehand, and now she acts different, and now she's just virtue signaling. And that's what you find a lot in the church. It's really funny, because you would assume, you're like, yeah, church equals the good girls, club equals the bad ones. And it's like, no, it's actually very opposite, because there's some girls because I don't think it's bad to drink. I don't care if she's a degenerate and she wants to go out and drink and have fun. There's tons of girls who drink and go out and have fun, and they don't run up their body count or do a bunch of bad things. I'm not going to virtue signal and be like, oh, she's a bad girl because she does that. I do the same shit. I don't give a shit if she does that. That's virtue signaling to be like, oh, she's a bad girl for doing that. And also, you said status is still, you know, a big, or you're saying that like you can get girls easier in the church because it's not that hard to compete and stuff. Dude, status is an even bigger deal in the church. And the thing is, you might get a girl in there, but you're literally her long-term mating strategy, her beta buck. She's going to make you wait 6 months or a year, or wait till you're married to get to, or wait till you're married to get sex. So you're fully in her frame, fully in her control. And when she let Chad literally 1 year before, maybe even fucking 2 months before y'all got together, hit it on the first night, dude. That is insane that guys will go to the church and try to take a girl serious who's going to make them wait. That's another thing that we haven't got to. So the virtue signaling thing, and then on top of that, you're going to be, would you be with a girl who makes you wait, bro? Because I would never be with a girl who's going to make me wait.
So there's 2 points there. Making a girl, so women and how quickly they'll give you some kind of sexual access, right? And number 2, virtue signaling. So you can't make that assumption. It's not quite fair to make an assumption that most of the women in church, or a lot of them, are just virtue signaling, because it's the same thing as me making the same assumption negatively about women that are in the club. It's not a fair assumption. The environment can breed certain things. It's right. It's the same as me saying just because a girl goes to the club, she's probably promiscuous and does cocaine. I can find a lot of that. It can be really easy for me to find like subjective evidence to prove that. Just like it would be easy for you to go into a church and be like, hey, all these girls are hoes. Like, I saw this girl at the club. I know her. I know she's got an OnlyFans. It's easy to do that. So like I conceded to before, you can't tell everything you need to know about a woman based on where she's going, but that environment is going to breed certain things. Now, if we're talking about wifing a girl up, sure. I mean, would I give a prescription like, hey, wife a girl up that you smashed on the first night? I wouldn't say that's a good thing to do. I would say a woman that gives it up to you the first night, I'm not saying she's doing that a lot, but you have no reason to think that she's not doing that a lot, right? And here's also the same thing too. How long it takes for a girl, how long they make you wait. So, I mean, I don't think a man should just be talking to one girl at a time. So, I mean, if I meet 3 girls in church over like a month, and I meet 3 girls at the club, and the girls at church are making me wait, but the girls at the club aren't, who cares, man? I'm going to have different relationships with different women. And I mean, here's the thing. If they're really making you wait, like, you don't have to give them any more time. Like, you don't have to play that whole game where they're making you wait. You can be direct about your intentions. Most of the girls that I met in church, they don't believe in waiting till marriage. A lot of them, you're talking about a girl that you meet at the club, they might take 2 dates to hook up with them. A girl at church, like, I mean, you got to be consistent, because you're saying a lot of these girls are virtue signaling by being in church, which means they're reformed hoes, which means they haven't really changed at all. So if they're less virtuous than the women at the club, then they're going to sleep with you quickly anyway.
Then what was the point of going to the church to find the virtuous girl? She doesn't sound very virtuous then.
Yeah, but that counters what you're saying. I'm saying the environment where you can meet them. Church breeds virtue. They're at least trying to produce people that are virtuous. The club is not doing that. That's the major difference.
Like I said, like you can find, but
you can say, hey, I can assume all these things about a woman that goes to church, and I can do the same thing about a woman in the club when we can assume all these negative things based on where they're going. It's hard to assume that a girl is going to the club and not drinking. It doesn't make any sense to assume that. And it also makes sense to assume that because a girl's going to church, she wants to be a better person. And then we can get down to
or she's just virtue signaling, though. You know, it can be both, like on both sides, bro. But what you're explaining is that we're equal, though. Is that we're equal? Both of them are equal.
So figuring out the individual is equal for sure. But when it comes down to the environment, you have no way of knowing based on where she's going. But if she's at the church, is that my dog? Hold on. Hey, stop it. Hold on 1 second. My dog's.
You're good.
Hold on.
Fine. I got what you meant there.
Huh?
I said I got what you meant there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
No, you're good, bro.
Continue.
No, what I was gonna say is, like, though, do you know what burning genuine desire is? Have you ever heard that term before?
Yeah. But let me finish my point.
Yeah, go ahead.
So all I'm trying to say is, if you're meeting somebody in an environment, right, you can become of that environment and you can act accordingly, right? There's nobody at the club that's like, hey, Don't sleep with that guy on the first night. That's not what we do at the club. That's a bad thing to do at the club. Don't drink 7 vodka sodas in 2 hours. That's not what we do at the club. There's nobody out there who's promoting any kind of virtue at the club. Can you find them there? Absolutely. You can find sober chicks who are virgins at the club. You can do that. But you can also find that woman at church, and at the church they're at least preaching some kind of virtue. So if we're talking about the environment, that's the only thing that's different. The church is promoting virtue. The club promotes degeneracy. They even have ladies' nights where ladies can drink for free. That's promoting women getting hammered, bro. Like, they're very, very different. We can go back and forth on the individual and having, you have to discover a lot about a woman to know who she really is. And you're not going to know everything about her based on where she's going. But if she's out at the club 4 or 5 nights a week, it's pretty easy to assume some things negative, and vice versa. If she's at a church every Sunday, she's going to the monthly church First Wednesday services, she's at church group, she's reading her Bible, at least you have some reason to think, hey, this might be a good girl. I should look into her a little bit more. That's all.
Yeah, well, I mean, basically what both of our arguments go back to is that there is nuance and there is a chance that both can be right. That, like, you could find a good girl in the club, or you could also find a fucking good girl but there is a chance of deception on both sides. There's a chance of deception on the Christian side, and there's also a chance of not even deception at the club. That's why I think it's better, because you're not being deceptive. You could see clearly what she is, and like, there's a lot of people, bro. Like, my girl is a prime example of this. She's not a drinker. She drinks once or twice a year, like maybe on her birthday and maybe on my birthday. And that's all we drink, And so, like, and she's always been that way. Even before she was with me, she wasn't a common drinker. And so there's some people that might go and drink like once, very rarely. And I wouldn't judge. That's what I'm saying. Like, if I meet a girl out and she's drinking, I'm not going to judge her for it, because what's that the first time she drank in 6 months? I'm not going to assume that she goes out and does this all the time. And then we keep going back to this, like, sleep with the girl. I'm not saying sleep with a girl from a club. I would never take a girl seriously that I meet at the club, like make out with her and then take her home and sleep with her. I'm not talking about that. When I say one night on the first night, what I mean is, like, y'all are in the same friend group, y'all are in a social circle, and then y'all end up on a date, and on your first date, so y'all are warmed up. There's already been a warm up period. She's known you for 2 months, 3 months maybe, because of a social circle or whatever. And y'all go on a date and she sleeps with you on that first date. I'm talking about that specifically. And then, but I wanted to ask you, dude, do you know what burning genuine desire is?
Yes.
Yeah. So burning genuine desire is, the girl genuinely feeling for you, really, really liking you. And the thing is, whenever you don't sleep with a girl fast, when the girl's like, oh, you got to wait, she breaks rules for the alphas and she makes rules for the betas. So whenever sits there and he's like waiting for 3 months, when she let this other dude 2 weeks ago fucking hit on the first night, you ain't that guy, bro. And that's the thing. Like, you need to be like, that's why I say you just got to get a younger girl. You don't need to sit there and try to do that with some girl that's 30 years old, because she's going to look at you like you're stupid. She got 30 other simps that are going to take her on 5 dates before she lets them hit. So yeah, you can't do that with an older girl, because she's already gone through the trauma. She's already had Chads, like 10 Chads do that to her, and she's heartbroken now. So you like, what I'm preaching to do is perfect when it's done correctly. I'm not, dude, to sit here and assume that like a girl does that with every guy. She doesn't. Like, you might meet a girl with a 6 body count and she did that with you and one other guy. And that's it. And that's not, like, in today's society, when girls are how they are today, that's not that bad. But you would be like, oh, nah, she's a hoe. You would have the Madonna whore complex and be like, oh, she slept with me on the first date. Nope. Bad girl. She's a hoe. She has a, but you were saying that you wouldn't be with a girl who slept with you on the first night.
No. I didn't say any of that. You're strawmanning my position. All I'm saying is that you can't tell 100% everything you know about a woman based on where she's going, but you can get a lot of clues. And you said you wouldn't wife a girl that you met at the club. Dude, I would wife a lot of the girls I've met in church. A lot of them are genuinely really good people, and I meet them on good terms. Just because I met a girl at church doesn't mean I'm going to wait 3, 4, 5 months to sleep with her. Just because they're in church doesn't mean that they're going to wait till marriage. But it's a girl who's at least in an environment where they're preaching some sort of values, right?
But once again, she's she's gonna make you wait, like, because she's at church and she's like, I'm special now, I'm different, but I'm not like how I used to be. I'm gonna make you, like, just wait 3 months, just wait 2 months. It's not that long, just 2 months, 4 dates. You wait, okay? Why would you do that when she let another guy, possibly a month ago, possibly a week before that, say, like, let him hit first time, or she lets him hit without doing no dates or nothing? Why would you do that? She genuinely does not like you. She genuinely does not like you. And she's lying to your face because, once again, we know women are covert. We know they say one thing and they do something completely different. We don't look at what they say, we look at what they do. And we know that as women, why they do these things with evolutionary psychology. We can see it. We see it in studies all the time that they say one thing and they do something else. So why are you trusting it just because it's in a church?
Yeah, so I'm not saying that. So if we're trying to get down to like what is virtuous, right? We both have to kind of stand on it. If I believe that that I want to wait till marriage, which I don't float that way, right? If you were to ask me like, hey, should I sleep with a girl on the first date? I'd be like, maybe the second or third. That's fine. Go ahead and do that. Like, you don't need to wait. I don't wait, right? Most of the girls I've ever been with have never made me wait, right? But just because you meet a girl in church doesn't mean she's going to make you wait 3-4 months to hook up with her. And then she's hooking up with somebody else as well. Like, that doesn't mean that at all. Girls in the club can be the same way. Just because you meet a girl at the club doesn't mean you're smashing on the first date. Doesn't mean you're smashing right away.
Well, dude, this all started with pursuing women. This all started with pursuing women. And my whole point is that with what I teach, you don't pursue women. They come to you. And that's a genuine desire because the woman is coming to you. So your whole stance is to pursue them at the church.
No. So you can meet women anywhere, right? You have to go and approach them in some way, or you can be a part of their group at church and they'll talk to you. I do think women should pursue. I don't think guys should go out of their way and simp on girls and pursue and chase and text.
Do you try to date? Do you ask them on a date when you see a pretty girl at church?
I mean, so my position, if I'm being direct, I'm not going to ask her out on a date at church. I might get her Instagram or a phone number, or if we're all going out to eat after a church group, like I'll invite her to what we're doing, but I'm not going to like ask her on a date, like right at church. You can meet them just like you would a social circle. Church is just giving you a social circle without you having to put in any work. You just had to show up, right? If I'm building a social circle by going out and going to the gym or joining some kind of class or having hobbies, it takes a little bit of work. Like, I got to still like be social and talk to people most people aren't just out starting up random conversations, right? If you go out, if a guy doesn't have any experience, he's not going to go out, and girls aren't just going to walk up to him and start talking to him. They might just walk up near him, but he's still got to open up the conversation. So I'm not saying that, like, I'm not sure what you're asking. You should, for sure, at the end of a church group or at the end of church, if you see an attractive girl, go walk up and start talking to her. She definitely will talk to you. Like, she's not going to be rude and walk away. She's going to give you the time of day. Most of the time at the club, you walk up to a girl, most of the time, if you're not an attractive guy, she's not going to give you much time. You might get like 20 seconds max. You might get 5 minutes at church because it's not loud. She's there to meet somebody. None of her friends are there. Nobody's going to offer her a round of shots. She's got nowhere to be. It's 11 o'clock in the morning. At the club, there's a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of things that are going to take her away from that conversation for you to just talk to her, right? So if you're out at the club, you had to do some work. Like, you had to put in some work to build a social circle for people that you meet, that you go out with. I did too. But if I just show up to church in a church group, there's already a circle there waiting for me. There's already people that go out to eat after the church group. There's already people that play volleyball together. There's already the social group that I can just join. And the reason I think it's better than traditional nightlife is at least they're trying to be good people, right? They're trying to stand on virtue. At the club, there's no club.
They're just trying to virtue signal, though. Like, you don't think that they're just trying to act like they're doing that? Like, you realize the greatest people that I know are not churchgoers. Like, some of the most Christ-like people I know. Like, it doesn't mean that you're more Christ-like if you go to church. It's actually probably the opposite if you say it or you like brag about it.
No, it's not true. So at the club, they're playing music, right? And people are drinking alcohol and talking. That's what people are doing, or playing games. At church, there's a message from the pastor. There's worship music, and there's people having productive conversation about mental health. There's all kinds of stuff that people are trying to do to better themselves as people. It's like if you read a self-help book, that's what church is today. The preacher is talking about something you could find in a self-help book, and there's some music that makes you feel good, and people who are there that are warm and want to meet somebody in an environment not fueled by alcohol. That's the major difference. At the club, there's no, or even bars or restaurants, there's nothing there that can genuinely unite people besides alcohol and some music. And a lot of it's meaningless and empty, right? You can go have fun at the club and have a great time, but isn't that, you said earlier you wouldn't wife a girl that you met at the club, but I would wife a girl that I'd met at church. I can make an argument for that, right? I can make an argument too. Like, I agree. Like, I wouldn't want to wife a girl I just met at the club. I met her in an environment where she's probably drunk. She might have been sweaty. Her makeup might have been running. She might have had 10 guys talk to her that night. She might not even remember who I am later, right? But at church, I'm in an environment where she's definitely going to remember me. She's definitely sober, and I'm going to see her again because she comes every week. You see what I'm saying? That's my position. I'm not saying you, like, just because you go to church, you're a good person. Just because you go to the club, you're a bad person. That's not true. That's not true
Well,
at all.
it's just like you're going back to like if you at church, good people like, and as a man of Christ, I think it's literally your job. Like it's literally right to go and be in the bad environments and make those people better around you by spreading good things, you know, and by being a good person. Like once again, I don't succumb to thinking that my environment around me at the club or something is bad because I know that anything that is bad around me, I can make good. You can make it like if you're good and you spread good, good can come from anything around you.
Yes, but these 18 to 24-year-old girls that I think we would pick over anybody else, they are not doing that, bro. If they're at the club and they don't have any kind of guidance, right? Because most of these girls don't have a strong father figure, right? They're let loose. They're getting drunk at the club. If they don't have any kind of environment like a church to at least try to steer them in the right direction, they're just going to lose themselves in alcohol. That's what happens, man. You see a lot of these girls that go out to the club. The one thing leads to another, and their life is fueled by drugs and alcohol.
You're talking about a specific archetype or like a specific stereotype.
Majority of people go.
Well, no, dude. Yeah, I just heavily just ask somebody that's friends with so many people at the club. This is why the reason why this triggers me so hard is because I have so many friends that don't drink and they work at the club. They go there every weekend, and so like it's just like it is. I agree with you that in general there's a lot of people like that, but you find gold in those places, and it's not all of them. Like I swear, there's probably like 10% of people in there that ain't. Especially today, bro, when everybody's crazy about fitness and shit. It's just not the same as it was like 10 years ago. It's not.
I agree, but it would be wrong for me to say that most guys go into the club are not there to pick up girls. That would be wrong. If I were to, most women who are going to the club are there to be sober, that's also wrong. Most of them are there to catch a buzz and get a little bit drunk. That's the majority of them.
I'm not going to scorn them. I'm not going to scorn them for having one drink if it's one drink every 2 or 3 months, though. Like that's what's crazy. You have this stereotype, but Donna, you had this stereotype of it's this girl doing this all the time, or like she's a regular drinker. And what I'm saying is that a majority, even like say like some of them aren't doing anything. There's another big percentage of girls that don't do it all the time. They rarely do it, and that's the girls that aren't that bad. And once again, I don't understand why it's bad to have it open to everything. Like I told you from the beginning, go to church. I have friends who go to church. And they're trying to get girls there, and they're also going out every weekend, and they're trying to find them in both. They're not going to sit there and say only girls from this place, because that's just you're just kind of pigeonholing yourself to one type of woman when there's other types of women that are great women. And once again, from the start, I was saying you can a girl will change into your frame. A girl is looking for a good Christian guy to make her like want to start going to church. So you can find a girl that's like that. She's from a 2-parent family. She has a good father. She has everything correct, but she just wants to go into a man's frame that wants to be like that. Like it's this assumption of just like all the people at club equal bad is fucking crazy.
May I jump in real quick? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I want to say, like, I see where you're both coming from. Like, Donnie, I see, especially, and I'm not even trying to be hyperbolic here, but by the way, like, it's like in good faith, you know, it's like, especially if having that sort of like set of like virtue and principle, you know, when it comes to your faith, you know, of course, like going to church and meeting somebody at church is going to be one of the best places to meet somebody, right? Because if that's super important to you, you know, is that, am I accurate in saying that? Not saying that's the only thing, but saying like, well, like if, like you said, you already know already, for the most part, you can take like you can have a pretty much, you can have a very educated guess in that her virtue matches or aligns with yours in some capacity if you're going to meet her at church, which is where you're at. Am I correct in saying that?
That's my position. Yeah. Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Now, and not saying that you can't meet anybody like that in a club or any sort of like social circle. And I know nobody's arguing against that, but I also see what Sergio's saying at the same time, because then, and not that you can't get into the nuance on like the latter part or the former part, but the latter part too is like when you're at a club, it's like, and that's kind of like where I've been thinking about this the whole time. It's like we were talking about like being at a club, for instance, you're talking about like the group that you go with where you meet girls. Is it the girls that you randomly meet at a club? Is it this? You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's hard to like assess like whether or not like somebody is not saying like good or bad, but you know, it's finding the nuance, as Sergio was saying, into those circumstances, like when you're going to a club, not just like assessing the women who are working there or just randomly being met there, but like even when you go to a club, like you have like a social circle of people that you're meeting. You may meet somebody new, like within your group that you arrived with. So I want to say, like, I just like give you both credence. Like I understand where you're both coming from in that instance.
It's in the world where two things can be right at the same time. But go ahead, Donnie.
I think we might be just kind of talking past each other a little bit, because I agree with the majority of what you're saying. Like I agree. Like there's plenty. We can both agree that there's plenty of other factors that are way more telling of whether or not a girl is going to be like worthy of wifing up than what she does or where she goes. Right. So we could talk about just the environment in itself. Right. So if we put aside, let's say somebody doesn't really even care about God and they don't even care about the virtues in it, right? The reason that I would say that meeting a girl in church is better because there's already a put together social group for you to join. It's an easy way to meet somebody. There's a lot of people there, and it's not a loud competitive environment where you're literally like competing with all kinds of music and sounds and all kinds of things, like competing with a girl and her level of sobriety. There's nothing that's competing for a girl's attention, and there's already a put together social group. If I don't know anybody at the club, there's nobody waiting for me there to be my friend and have me be a part of something, right? It's loud, it's hard. So if we're just comparing it that way, like we can both agree that you can't tell a lot about a girl based on where she is, but more so other things like, does she have two parents? How old is she? Her past trauma, that kind of stuff. You can talk more about that. You say better than I do. But if we're just kind of talk about like where she's going or where you're going to talk to her, where you're going to meet her in general, the church is better. And I'll defend that because it's already put together social group for you to join. There's already things going on. There's already Thursday group, Monday group. You can show up to a church group. You can get involved and meet people there. You can volunteer. There's all kinds of things. At a club, if I just show up, I got to already have friends because I'm not going to exactly make friends there the first time I show up. So that's more so what I'm trying to get at as well.
Well, Sergio, can I ask you a question before you continue? Yeah. I'm sorry, this is one of the like, I'll be quiet after like this question, but I just want to clarify for your position, Sergio, because I don't think the argument's like church like versus club, which I'm not saying anybody here is implying, but is it church versus not church meeting somebody?
I'm very against the meeting the girl at church. Like I think
I know you're against that. I'm saying, but your alternative is not like at the club; it's outside.
Yeah. We keep doing the binary of like the club, but honestly, I just want a guy. Girl, like I met my girl at Hooters. Like I said, like I'm just saying them anywhere in a social circle environment, and I do think it's okay to do the social circle at church. Like I think that guys should have a social circle at church. I think it's great that you go to volleyball. I think it's great having everything that he keeps talking about. I just don't think a guy should focus even 1% on the women from there. I think he should hang out with the prettiest girls there. He should be best friends with the prettiest church girls. Like literally, I think he should hang out with the hottest girl at that church as much as he can. Go out with her, take pictures with her, like do videos with her, because that pre-selection is going to help him get a really good girl sooner. I think that he could easily friend zone a really dope girl from the church for sure, and use that to get a really awesome girl to come into his frame and really love him and be crazy for him. But where that girl's going to come from, I don't know, but I am going to say it shouldn't come from the church. Because to me, she would be a virtue signaler in probably certain categories, something that I don't like, just personally. And then I don't know how much she's lying. Like the thing is, there's two guys when relationships happen. You know, like the beta bucks, alpha fucks thing. When you sleep with a girl, say a girl sleeps with you fast on the first night after y'all's first date, and y'all have a talk like in the next day or the next week about body counts and stuff like that, and you're like, oh yeah, I was a man hoe for years. I ran it up. I was a fucking piece of shit. I don't even know what my number is. It's something crazy. They'll be comfortable being honest with you and saying, hey, I actually, I've been with like 15 guys and like, I'm not happy about it. Like I want to change. Like, I don't want that. Like, I'm not proud of it at all, but I did do that, and she'll be honest with that guy. super honest with him. It's not, she's not even saying 50 or anything crazy. She's just 15, you know, but she's honest with that alpha because he gives her the room to be honest. When a woman goes to church and she finds a guy from church, her automatic assumption is, I'm going to be judged for this. I can't be honest about this. Like, he's going to use this against me. This isn't, you know, this isn't, it's of my past. It's over. I don't need to like talk about it. And that's something though, a lot of guys, yeah, dude, a lot of guys will end up in relationships with girls who do exactly that. And they're not going to be honest with that guy that they make wait a month or two. They're going to tell him, oh yeah, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to say what it is, or why does it matter? Body count doesn't matter. That's what she's gonna do. Whereas there was another guy that got the truth out of her one day. And that guy who got the truth out of her was that alpha, was the short term mating strategy. I much rather be that guy than be the beta bucks. Now you're saying that you'll sleep with a girl fast from church and stuff like that. Then I don't even understand why we're going to church then, because I thought we were going to find virtue, you know?
No, I was trying to make it clear that just because somebody goes somewhere doesn't necessarily mean they're a good person, right? Because you go to a church, I have much more reason to think that you might be trying to be a good person, right? If we're talking about an environment that you can meet a girl that you can date. I don't agree. I think you can date that hot girl at church. Like, you definitely can. And the thing with church, especially Christianity, is it's built upon you're forgiven for your sins. So it's literally, we literally could be in a Bible group talking about it's okay to be sinners. We're all sinners and we're all forgiven for our sins. And then that girl can be like, okay, I'm literally in an environment where somebody is saying it's okay that I had a bad past. Literally, like, you can find that out anywhere, right? But you have to be the one to create that for a girl, to make her comfortable, to be like, hey, you know what? We all have a bad past. Let me know what yours is. If it's bad, you know, you can make a judgment call there. But just because you're in a church doesn't mean people are going to hide behind pretending to be a better person. That's the last thing that I found. It's literally an environment where they say, hey, we're all sinners, we all make mistakes, and we can learn from those mistakes and be a better person, right? That's like the foundation for Christianity, right? So a girl, she can be comfortable and she can open up to it, right? Yeah, so I don't agree that it's all virtue signaling, man. I really do think that there's a lot of people, even if you just want to call it half of them, right? Every other girl in there actually has the qualities to be like a good girlfriend, right? And I picked the church, right? Because if you're going to pick a woman to be with long term, right, she's got to have, in my view, conservative Christian values if you're going to have a family with that girl. Because if she's not in that church and she doesn't have Christian conservative values, you're going to have a really hard time having a long-term relationship with that girl, especially a family, right? That's just my personal view. I think a lot of guys would agree. So if
they're the beta and he can't control her, I agree. Yeah, but if he's a guy that she really respects and admires and looks up to, if he's like, hey, we're going to church, this is how it's going to be. It's going to be like this, and you're a good leader. She's going to listen to you.
For sure. For sure.
But no, I want to ask, dude, would you agree that men and women are different?
Yeah.
Okay. So you also agree that with me that women are a covert sex and men are a little bit more overt?
Yeah, I would agree with that.
So this is why, like, you can say, you know, in a church environment, we're all being honest about our past and stuff like that. And you're right. I've been in those situations where the like town hoe was even honest and was like, yeah, I'm a town hoe. But I don't think it happens nearly as often as we think. Like, most of those girls know their sexual marketplace value heavily goes back to their body count and their sexual promiscuity from their past. So a lot of them, man, are going to hide it. We can't even trust studies for this type. We don't even trust studies for this type of shit because we don't know if women are telling the truth about it.
What women develop trauma and high body counts because of a lack of any kind of religious foundation in their life. They don't have any, if they don't have any guidance from like age like 13 or 14 on, they're a lot more likely to have trauma and have a bad sexual past, especially when you look at just like the data of who's having kids in America. It's the overly religious people, not the religious people. It's the overly religious people, the Orthodox people, the Catholics, the Mormons. Like these people are having the most children and their families are staying intact, right? So if I know that's pretty clear, right? That the Christians are having the most children, their families are staying together. And if that's the number one predictor of whether or not a girl is going to be, is going to have less trauma as she gets into her, 18, 19, 20 through like 25, right, then we should be promoting a culture where people meet each other at church and abide by these Christian values, right?
Okay, I'm gonna have to interject. I'm sorry, real quick, just to keep it on track, because now we're getting into a different topic.
Yeah.
Like, if okay, just for the sake of it, just to keep it back on track. So, like, less and more so about like family values, but more so about meeting. So, let me just, commandeer the ship. So, with that being said, as I interrupt, going back to the virtue part of it, because like I said, I understand both sides of where your argument is, and like you both have acknowledged nuance. So, like I said earlier, just taking out of, because there's some things that I saw on both sides of, and more so Johnny on your side of it, not trying to pigeonhole you, as far as the gatekeeping of like meeting women, like at the church, you said there's less competition, but then Sergio, on your side of it, I saw more so of it, less about like meeting women and like more so about like, oh, like I still see them like as redeemable even if they're in this environment. So like that, I guess I want you both to define what virtuous means, or like what like that like initial like first phase is like. What are your like standards for that first phase?
Sergio,
Does that make sense?
just, my phone's at like 5%. So if I bleep out, you know why.
Well,
But,
do you want to?
Hi guys, everybody knows.
Grab a charger real quick so you can go. Is that okay?
Yeah. Wait. What did you say, Lauren?
No, he said that his phone's at 5%. I said, do you want him to like give him a break so you can go grab a charger?
Yeah. If he can.
I'm grabbing a charger.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, you're fine. And just for everybody who's watching, I forgot to say this at the very beginning. At the very end, we're going to be taking questions. So please, appreciate you guys watching and your patience through all this. Like if you have sent like comments or questions and we haven't answered them, we will at the end. And I mean, I'm here all night, and Sergio's here all night, so
yeah, we'll go over all the chat at the end.
But it's been going very well so far. But like I said, just to kind of clarify a little more, like why I interrupted, I didn't want to go, like I said, deviate from the conversation.
But like, explain what you had said again, Lauren. Like,
what I was trying to say was that he's talking about family values, and I said, well, let's go back to the original thing. When he was talking about like church is better. And I'm not trying to dumb it down to this because I know it's more complex than that. But I was saying some of the, red herrings a little bit unintentionally were talking about gatekeeping, less competition, therefore church is better, which I know is not the whole of the argument, but that was brought into it. Like I think that's not the whole conversation talking point about like it's not about like the gatekeeping. It's about whether it's better to go to like to meet women at church. It's not about like, unless you guys say otherwise. I think like I said, that was not the greatest talking point about church, it being like less competition. Like, no, because we all know dating's work. And I was saying in your case, like I said that, it wasn't about gatekeeping whatsoever, but it was more so about, crap. No, I already forgot what I was trying to say. No, but in your case, you're saying that it's guaranteed that there's no virtue signaling. And it's like, and you both pointed out that you could virtue signal in either which way. So I wanted you both to, I guess, even if it's anecdotal, even if it's just subjective, or as like men can collectively like generalize, like what would like virtuous mean in that sense, with or without Christian value. So that's what I was trying to like essentially tie both you guys in together.
So what values am I directly looking for in a girl, basically?
Correct. And like so like what would be considered virtuous? So like the values, like can you find them in both scenarios, which I know you're not like pro club, anti church, like that's not how it is necessarily, but it's like that's where the nuance comes in. It's like, where are those lines drawn about like where the values are being determined in those scenarios? And how do you personally define them?
Yeah. So.
And I'll let you go first, Sergio.
Yeah. Well, what I would say is like there's like, I guess, axioms that like you would go by as a guy. Like I would say I want a girl that's young because she's less experienced, so it's easier for us to pair bond. It would be easier to imprint and have a good pair bond if she's less traveled or less experienced. So that's a big axiom. To a father in her life, parents still together is a very good positive axiom to have. I would say mostly that, but the biggest thing to me that is just respect, which whenever they look up to you and like the short-term main strategy, that's how you usually get respect, which is love to a man. but then also work ethic. And so, like, I would say work ethic is one of like the biggest ones. And as you, none of those things is something that the church really probably says is virtuous. You know, those are all things that I personally have come to say this is what I've learned from women, and what I think would be the best. I'm not going to judge her based off of body. Like, I don't care about body counts as much as most guys. I think that a lot of guys are really scared about the body count, but I think it's based around how good you are as a guy compared to her past. Like 6 Chads before you out of like 8 dudes, you might have a hard time competing with those 6 Chads, you know? It just depends how good of a guy you are, you know? And so I think every guy, it's different when it comes to, you know, body count. But the sleeping with the first night thing, I want to have burning, genuine desire. I've been the guy that had to wait. I've been the guy that was, you know, like she made rules for me and broke the rules for the alpha. And I've been that guy, and it wasn't a good relationship. It worked out horribly multiple times. So I learned my lessons, and that's why I have these axioms. Like I said, none of these are based really on religion, I would say.
Sure.
But yeah, what about you, Donnie?
Yeah, Donnie,
Yeah, so-
I know you're moving around, so are we able to catch all that?
Yeah. For the most part, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, like my phone charger's, my port's broken, so I had to use a pad charger. But anyway, yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, on what, like everything you said about what a woman, if you know a woman's like virtuous or not, trustworthy.
Well, the question was like, what do you determine as like, what are your values that you're looking for, and what do you consider to be virtuous? Like, what's your red line?
Yeah, someone who doesn't have trauma holding her back from, you know, being able to, like, I mean, he's the word pair bond. Yeah, somebody who doesn't have trauma keeping them from building trust with somebody in a relationship. Somebody who doesn't have an extremely promiscuous past, so sex doesn't really matter to them, or it's at least not a big deal to them. Yeah, mostly previous past trauma, and a lot of it is like your life direction, like what you value when it comes to like a lot of a woman's values kind of tell me about the kind of partner she's going to be. Like if, like for example, for me, if like she's super liberal, we're gonna butt heads a lot on like how the relationship should be, like the whole man to woman aspect. Yeah, sorry. But yeah, I mean, if I know what kind of like value she has in life, I'm gonna understand what she's gonna be like for a long-term partner if I want to have that with her.
Sure. Yeah. I was just asking both of you like where you're like the lines you draw in the sand, and you answered.
I didn't disagree with his
question.
Yeah, I didn't disagree with his description of virtue in a woman. No, I agree with that.
Yeah, but I feel like it's very broad though. Like, and I don't like it when guys close themselves off. Like when a guy's like only church girls, or they're like only blondes, or they're like only white girls. They're like, I'm gonna wear a Metallica shirt every day, so I only find a girl that's in the rock like me. You know, like I don't like guys when I don't like it when guys pigeonhole themselves. Like that's why, like if you notice a lot of my axioms, it wasn't like, you know, if she works here, she's out drinking. Like I didn't really kind of like try to judge them.
It wasn't superficial preferences.
Yeah, and it was just because like I really think that those axioms that I judge based off of can tell the character of a person more than anything. Like I said, like having you know, like respect for you, because respect is love to a man. The Bible says that. And then also having that solid work ethic. Like she's gonna work, whether that's a job or whether that's for you and the family. She's a hard worker. She's not a lazy fucking loser, you know, that does nothing with their life. And but I wanted to ask you though, Donnie, do you want a woman that like, because obviously everybody in the church, it's really split between like the trad con, she stays at home and you work, or y'all both work. Are you the type of guy where you want to be like 50-50 financially, or you take care of her fully, or 75-25? Like, how do you see that?
Yeah, so personally, if I'm gonna get married and have kids and do that route, yeah, I do think that a woman staying at home is the best for the kids. The main reason that I'm not giving a woman like a full serious commitment right now is because it's not like I'm not in the position to fully take care of a woman and support a family. It's just too much for me to want to even do right now. So yeah, I do believe in the traditional family, and that's why I'm a big, that's why I'm so big on like meeting women in church, because if you don't meet, if you don't go to church, and your woman doesn't go to church, where do they get their moral framework from? Like, where do they build their virtue foundation on? And I would argue that you have no reason to think that you can stand on any virtue that like there's no virtues that you can find out in the world that are going to be productive for a family that are better than Christian values, right? So if I'm, if we're similar in this aspect where I want to take care of my woman and I want my wife or the mother of my kids to be able to stay at home should she choose to do that and focus on the kids, it's all going to come back to Christian values. It's going to be pretty hard to build a moral framework absent Christianity in our world, right? And that's another reason why you should meet a woman in church, because she's gonna at least be pointed towards values that are conducive for a family.
No,
For at least a wife and a girl level, not just any girl you want to meet, and you can have amazing relationships with a woman that doesn't go to church. You don't know anything about her moral framework other than she acts in a way that she's a good person, right? You can have good relationships in that regard.
yeah. It's just, I think most Christians are fake Christians today, man. There's so many that have in their profile, like, oh, I'm a Christian, like, have the cross. Like, there's so many people who do it to virtue signal. It's just like, it's not because, like, it's because they just love Jesus Christ. It's because I'm on a certain team and I have to, like, act like I'm on that team and I have to make it that I'm better than everybody else. Like, we're better. And I just don't think that's very Christian. But but no, you like what you said. That was a great question. Who does she get her virtue from? And she gets it from you, bro. Like, that's the thing. Like,
but if you don't go to church, where do you get yours to give to her?
Yeah, but you know this. You don't have to go to church for you to be a man of Christ. Church is anywhere where there's two people talking of Christ. Like this could be considered church. Like, we can't sit there and say that, that like you're not going to be able to make a woman become virtuous. If you're a Christ-like man, you're going to make her. She's going to become virtuous with you. If you pray with her, she's going to start praying. If you do certain Christian things with a woman, even if she didn't do it before, and I truly believe that she loves you more, she respects you more, and she looks up to you even more as a leader when you're the one who pivots her into that lifestyle. Now, because I promise you, any girl that's in a church before, like a girl that you meet, there was a guy that got her into that. Whether it was a guy that she really liked or there was a man that she wanted to see at a certain church, something like that, she wanted to put herself in front of him.
You're right. That was her father. That was most likely her father.
Yeah. But what I'm saying though is that there's always a guy. But see, this is what's crazy. Like, you keep going back, like something that they said earlier. It's like those girls wouldn't have slept around if they would have been in the church. You're making this assumption that these girls that you're meeting at the church are all like not like hadn't done that and then came after. Like, most of the girls of the church, bro, went through the crazy shit that we're talking about, and then they go to church. So like the exact example. So and what happened when they were young? Their father wasn't there. A guy didn't take them to church, and now a church guy, a innocent dude with no baggage, because guys are getting less sexual experience and women are getting more, gets screwed over, man. And here you were talking about earlier how we got to talk about all guys, even guys with low experience.
Yeah,
those are the least guys that should be going to church. And the guy looking for a relationship with the intent to find a girl at church, the intent approach is dangerous, because these guys have no experience, and some of these women are looking for a bag. They're looking for a finesse. They're looking for a chump. And so that's like, if you got experience, bro, if you're like me and you got experience, Donnie, and you're going to be able to discern these girls at church perfectly, I'm proud of you, bro. These other guys can't fucking do it, though. I truly don't think they can.
So you have an assumption about women that go to church, which I think is totally flawed, and I reject it completely. There was a point you made that I want to address first. What my position was, if a woman has an ethical framework instilled in her by either her father or the church, or preferably both, then the trauma, which is going to be limited than if she doesn't. So the number one indicator, right, if a woman is going to be like a good woman for you, like a good partner, is if she has a father in her life, right? So if she doesn't have a father, she's much more likely to be subjected to trauma. And if she doesn't have a church foundation, how is she supposed to have any kind of guidance in her life? I don't think there is one. And I think with absent that, then a woman is out in the world getting way more trauma put in her life than necessary. So that's my position about that.
I get what you're saying now. I get your point now. Okay, so what you're saying is you're looking for the girls that been going to church. They're good girls. They got low body count because they've been in church. They've been with their fathers listening to them. So what you're saying now is the extremely rare church girl. And those girls that you're talking about, bro, oh my God, I know a ton of them. They get ate up at 18, 19, 20, 21. They get immediately married or in a relationship. The girls that you're talking about, bro. Like, I know it because we're not talking about just any girl at the church anymore. Because you're basically saying you only want the good girls at the church, the ones that have been there because of their fathers. Because because what I keep talking
I'm
about.
saying that. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that.
Well, then no, that's what you just described that like you would want.
No, I'm saying that's better for the world. So if we're trying to promote,
yeah, it's better for the world. But I'm saying these guys aren't gonna get that though. No guy is gonna get that.
So you can meet a woman in church at 18, 19, and 20. Those are the girls you want to meet at the club anyway.
So if the argument is that we want guys 21 and under to be at the church and meet a church girl that is also a virgin with them, yes. I've been that like
I know your audience is guys that are like 17 plus.
But he needs to start at 13, 14. Like the thing is most of the guys that we're talking to, bro, are not under 20 years old. They're not under 21. A lot of guys that hear what we're talking about right now in here, they're over the age of 21 and they should not go to the fucking church. They should not try to find a girl at the church. They should be
in the church regardless of whether they're going to meet women or not. Because that's where they're going to find a moral framework that they're not going to find out in the world.
They should not try to find a girl at all there or date a girl from there at all. They're not going to get a virgin. They're not going to get a good girl that you're talking about.
But you say that, but I can bring up an anecdote of two people that I know from church who got beautiful girls who are both virgins.
How old are they? How old are they?
One of them's 25, one of them's 24.
Wait, we're talking about virgins or talking about women?
Huh? Women.
Yeah, I know, but I said, but now you guys are going down the road of virgins. That's all. I just want to like make sure we're getting back on track.
Yeah, no. I mean, he's just bringing it the full 100. Like we both would agree.
Okay. Those guys marry virgins.
I agree on this point that a virgin.
Those guys marry virgins.
I know plenty of men who have married virgins they met in the church.
But those 25-year-olds, did they marry a virgin?
What are you talking about? I just mentioned two.
Because they found on the.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
I know two people in my church group, two guys that I'm friends with, who were 24 and 25, and they met women who were both virgins that were very attractive, and they've been dating these women for a year and a half, and one of them
and they're positive that they're virgins.
Yes.
See, that's
also,
the thing. Easy
I
to
had a
say
big brother
like
from the Big Brother Big Sister program, right? I didn't have my father in my life. I had a big brother. My mom got me into that program. If you ever heard of it, it's a great program. I was 11.
I volunteer for that program.
What was that?
I said I volunteer for that program.
Yeah, great program. I'm gonna start volunteering for it too. But the guy I met, he was 24 and I met him. That was my big brother. He urged me to abide by these Christian values that were instilled in him when he was younger. He wasn't a virgin himself, right? But he'd probably been with like one or two girls. But he married a woman who was a virgin, and he met her through his church friends, right? So even if somebody doesn't necessarily meet, hold on,
Donnie,
let me finish it up. Because here's where you can find some middle ground, right? Even if a guy doesn't date people he meets or women that he meets in church, he can at least meet the women that the friends he makes at church introduces him to. So it's still, whether you're meeting a woman or not, I mean, you should definitely wife up a girl you meet in church for sure. I would say that's preferable to anything else. But if anything, you can meet some good women who have good girlfriends that don't go to church, but they're still good women. You can wife them if you'd like.
How long have you been going to church, Donnie?
I'm 30 since I was 4 years old.
Since you were 4?
Yeah, so the same church.
And you're 30 now, you said?
I'm 30, yes.
And you've consistently gone. You never took a break.
No, I always went to church. Yeah.
Then why don't you have a wife then if there's so many of these women?
I didn't want to get married. I came from a broken family, and just because I was in a church doesn't mean I was a perfect person, right? I didn't listen to my big brother from the Big Brother Big Sister program. I went and slept around a lot in high school. I racked up a huge notch count, especially compared to most guys that I know. I didn't go into my relationships with any kind of like standards at all. Like I didn't really try. Like I was never bad to women, but I didn't have any purpose for any of my relationships, right? I just kind of slept around. Like So it's like for the same reason, like you're a Christian guy, it's like the same reason you're not married. Like life happens, right? I know you have a girlfriend.
Yeah,
Like,
well, see, but
I dated
that's
women,
what.
but I'm just saying, if I had listened to my my big brother, right, and if I'd listened to the pastors in church about abiding by these virtues, mostly not engaging in hookup culture, I probably would be married.
I think that's like crazy to think, dude, because you're proving my point with your own life. Like I've been in multiple relationships where they were successful. Now, did I fuck up? Yes, I did. I'm in one right now though, and you're saying that you're trying to only find girls in the church, but you also are
I'm
saying
not.
that
I didn't say that. I didn't
relationship
say that.
though.
I said meeting a woman. My position is meeting a woman in church is the best place to meet a woman. I'm not against meeting a woman anywhere. Like
But
I have dating
can't
apps.
even prove that
I post photos at
anecdotally
the
because you
club.
haven't even done that though. Like because if you did find a good girl through church, you wouldn't have let her go.
I did meet a girl in the church, and I dated her for like a year, and I broke up
But
with
she
her like
must have
two
not
months
been
ago.
good. Like, so why did you break up with her?
I didn't want to marry her.
Why?
I mean, we can get into like my personal situation in there, but
We
that's
don't
not
we don't
quite
have to
fair
go
because
personal if you're not comfortable.
But it just proves
but
my
here's what
point
you're doing.
though. It proves it.
No, it's not, because the fact that it'd be the same as me saying you can't be a dating coach because you've had a failed relationship. That's the equivalent, and that's not
No,
true. That's
because
not good to
dating
say.
isn't about being in a relationship. Dating is just trying to get women. It's
Yes, and
not
just because
now if
I'm
you
in the
said you
church doesn't
shouldn't
mean
be a
I'm a perfect
relationship
person.
coach, if you said you shouldn't be a relationship coach, I would say I agree with you. I'm not a relationship coach. I'm not a dating coach either. I actually just teach guys how to grow personal brands now because there's no point in telling guys how to get bitches. That's stupid. It's easy. You work on yourself and the women come to you. You work on your skills and you work on a personal brand or a business.
No,
I don't
I
have to tell
disagree.
guys how to
I
get
think for
women.
most guys it's extremely challenging to meet women. Most guys get no action from women. Most
Why
guys are
though,
just terrible
Donnie?
with girls.
But why?
Most guys are.
But why? Why is
Why?
it hard for guys? Yeah.
I mean, dude, we got another hour. We could go on forever about why it's
Well, I
hard.
mean, I think it's very simple. Like the reason why I ask why is because me, it's very simple. They aren't outside. They're not at church like you. They're not out like me at the clubs. They don't do anything. So yeah, you're right. These guys are going to struggle
I
when
think
they don't have any communities or social circles like we're talking
I
about.
agree, but I think our world has become way too safe, and feminism has just destroyed dating in general. Um, Men look at women as objects, and they're addicted to porn. And women crave this man that they deserve, but doesn't quite exist. At least they're just rare. I mean, there are guys that if you like all these videos about women talking about the ideal guy, like there's plenty of men that fit that category, but there's also the majority of them that don't. Right? So we're at a paradox in society where we don't live by any virtue. Like nobody's driven by anything other than their own pleasure, than whatever feels good for them, which is the big problem. And I'd say that most of the problems in our society is because people don't live by any kind of Christian ethics. This is where me and Andrew Wilson totally agree. Our society will be fixed, and a lot of the crap in our society could be fixed if we move back to a patriarchal structure where men become men again, right? We get dudes' testosterone way up. Men become real leaders. They get more involved in the world. And overall, the world becomes, again, about men being good men. And then the women will follow, and the women will be happier. But our society does not promote that at all. Our
Yeah.
society promotes men smoking, drinking, watching porn, playing video games, getting fat and staying in their house. That's the world that we live in now. It's way too safe. It's way too comfortable. And men don't have the incentive to go out and become better men because it's difficult, and it's much easier to just sit in their house.
Yeah, I just don't think it's good to try to tell guys to go to church whenever you had a church girl and it wasn't good. Like
Well,
I
so we can't look at my own personal experience and then use that
but
as a prescription,
you
because
try to use anecdotes of your two friends from church getting virgins. So it's not what's the difference
yeah,
between
but
your personal
that was
thing and
me.
those
That
two
was me
guys'
going back
personal
on your
thing.
personal anecdote about you meeting people who were virtue signaling in church, and that there's
Yeah. We're just
so
using a bunch of anecdotes at the end of the day to try to neither of us are appealing to authority or trying to use stats right now.
no. I mean, I made it pretty clear why going to a church in general is much better than going out into any other world, because you got to create, which is harder. Most guys can't do that. Most guys don't even want to go out. They can't. Most guys can't go make their own social circle out of nothing. Like we can. Like I've done it. Like there's guys that have, but that's much more difficult for the average
See,
guy to go out and meet people at the gym, go to a
it's
yoga
not.
class,
It's just
do all
you're
these
wrong
things.
though. You're just wrong. Like I can show you in Michael Sartain's program, he got tons of guys who fucking go and started their own social circle in their own cities. I got tons of testimonials now. Like I have over a dozen testimonials. He has over like 100 testimonials. Guys are absolutely able to go build a social circle at a club if they just know what to do. Now, are a bunch of guys autistic spirits today? They fucking have no social skills and they can't do it. Yeah, man. But that's
Yeah,
not
but
like
you have 34,000 followers on your channel, and you have 12 people that you've gotten a result for. That's amazing that you've done that. But that just proves my point that
well,
it's less
Donnie,
than
let me explain to you.
0.1%.
Hold on, Donnie. Let me explain to you how YouTube works, okay? Because you're like many other people who've never had a YouTube channel.
No, I know how YouTube works. I
Come,
know how YouTube
hold
works.
on, Donnie. Let me
I know
explain
how
this.
YouTube works.
No,
I've
hey,
done
No,
it
no,
forever. I
let
don't have a
Sergio
channel, but I
Donnie, let
know
me
how it
explain
works.
this then.
let Sergio
Just
talk.
because you have 34,000 followers, that doesn't mean anything. Look how many people are watching on YouTube right now. There's 3. It doesn't matter how many subscribers you have. That comes from views. I can have one reel go viral and get 10 million views like I had happen, and you get a bunch of subs, but that doesn't mean any of them see any of your other content other than your 30-second reel that you posted. So those numbers don't mean it. They're called vanity metrics these days because they don't mean anything. You get them from just one reel that's 30 seconds long. It doesn't convert to anything. So no, like now you understand how YouTube works. Yeah, I've
Mhm.
only helped a few people, bro, because I actually haven't even been helping a lot of people. I don't even advertise. If you go back to my original things, I wasn't even I barely even started advertising trying to help guys. Barely. So like the thing is, nothing will ever help more men than what I agree with you on, the church. And I will still stand with you on a lot of shit, bro. I'll extend the olive branch. I agree with you that Christianity or going to the church is the best route for most of these guys for prescriptions. Like we're going to talk about the best prescription for these guys to do for sure. But there's one thing that I'm going to stand against it on, and it's just the church girls. It's just the girls at the church. Otherwise, I would agree with you that the best prescriptions are your prescriptions, like you keep saying, for sure.
So we can agree on that. All I'm saying, the major distinction between the church and anywhere else is that the world is not preaching any values, man. Society is not standing on any values at all. Like the rest of our society is very anti-Christian, very anti-family. You just look at all the major things that are purported in the world. Like most of it is degeneracy, and it's tearing apart. It's making things harder. So going to the church and building a relationship in the church is a much better like short and long-term strategy than going out into the world, because there's no virtue in our regular world. You have to go to the church to find it. You have to. So if you want to have a successful long-term relationship, yeah, you should go to the church and you should be the best man you can be, right? I agree. You can go make a social circle, you can do all these things, but for the average guy, it's much better to show up to an environment where you already have a social circle. There's already pretty girls there, and there's all and you can better yourself as a person by showing up, right? So if we just take, let's just do this for a second. If we just take the whole virtues out of it, right? Let's just take the message out. We just talk about like church as a community, right? Church as a community, especially at the Protestant churches, is just a built social circle for you already. There's tons of pretty girls. You can show up and meet people right away without having to do anything. Or you can go have somebody coach you through it all, right? Like a guy like Michael Sartain, like I've listened to a lot of his content. Like that guy has got it, right? I've listened to you talk. Like I'm sure that you could give somebody amazing results in their own personal life, but the reality is it takes work, man. And most guys are not willing to work for it, dude. They just want to show up somewhere. And if the average guy just shows up to a church and keeps going and he implements it into his life, he's got to become a better man, and he's going to make friends in the process. And he might meet a really hot girl there. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. So you met a really good girl, bro, outside of the church, like we're going to say she's a bartender at a bar. Okay.
Yeah.
She's a bartender. And you meet her and y'all just have like a cool little connection. She gives you her number. Like she likes you so much. Y'all have such a cool little conversation. She's like, I dig this dude. I want to give him my number. And like before you leave, she gives you her number. You didn't meet this girl in church. Okay. Would you just really quick, would you go on a date with her? Yes or no?
Yes. Yeah, I would.
Okay. And if you go on the date with her, and it hits off great. Like, it's so good. She asks you about Christianity. You say you look for a girl with good virtues that's a Christian. She says, I'm a Christian, but I just haven't gone to church in a long time. But like, yeah, I wish I could go. I wish I had friends, or I wish I had a reason to go. She ends up sleeping with you that night. Y'all have a great time. Like, it was just, the whole vibe was fucking great. Would you cut this girl off? Because first off, you met her at a bar. Second off, she slept with you on that first date. And third off, she doesn't go to your church. And she doesn't go to a church. She calls herself a Christian, but she doesn't go because she doesn't have friends to go with. She's new to the city, whatever. Would you, because those three things, does she still have a chance with you? Because in my opinion, I would give that girl a chance. I want to see if you would too.
I would, but the only factor is, does she want to go to church? If she's like, I went to church.
She does.
Not
she
really
does.
For me. I don't really want to go anymore.
But if she does, what if she does?
If she does, then yeah. But
okay.
If she doesn't, then it's just.
Well, you just proved my point, though, that you can find a really fucking dope girl outside of the church. I just gave you a perfect scenario, and it's happened to me multiple times. That the exact scenario I just said, where a girl wants to go to church, but she just doesn't have somebody to go with, and she would gladly go with you. And so, like, when you say, I think guys should only find girls at the church, or
I didn't say that. That's not my position at all. You're strong.
The best.
No, I said that's the best place to meet a woman is at the church. You can meet a woman anywhere. You can meet a woman walking down the street, but most guys aren't going to do that. They don't have the balls to do that. They don't have the skills to do that. Most guys don't.
I just want to prove, though, that there's very virtuous women, though, outside of the church. Like, that was a proof that you can find a girl.
But it's not likely. It's not likely.
I highly disagree. All the girls I've ever been with, bro, they're super respectful. They are super virtuous. Like, my girlfriend is a fucking angel, bro. Oh my God, if we ever like have a lot of fucking money or anything like that, all we're doing is getting 100 cats, because this girl wants to save every cat in the fucking neighborhood. I'm tired of getting like all this cat food all the time and all the litter all the time, bro. She wants to save every animal in the world, every dog and every cat. So, I didn't find her at a church. I found her at the last place where you think you would find such a humble, virtuous, hardworking person, at Hooters. So the thing is, like, I just
found her
because, dude, what if God has the perfect woman for a guy? Okay, the perfect woman for a guy who's going to be perfect for him, and he never meets her because he's focusing too much on church. That would suck, dude. That would suck.
But my position never was that you can't meet a woman outside church. You can meet a woman anywhere. And just so you know, the majority of my adult career, I was working in food and bev, right? And I would meet girls all the time that would either come to the bar I was at, worked in the restaurant. I would go out and I would pick up girls that bartended. And I got the majority of the women I've ever been with, I met them through that, right? But I'm not married to any of those girls. Some of them were great. Some of them were not. Some of them did a bunch of drugs. Some of them were completely sober, right? But every girl that I've met in church at least wants to not be full of drugs and alcohol, at least wants to have good values in her life, at least wants good things in her life. That's all I'm saying. You don't know what you're going to get.
I just hate whenever you put it, because even like my girl, she doesn't do any drugs at all. Never touched anything, like, at all. She's only drank before sparingly. So it's just like, I hate that assumption. It's just because, like, I would have never found this awesome fucking angel girlfriend that I have if it wasn't for the fact that I wasn't, because what if I would have gone to church, like a couple months before and fell for like some church girl, and like I ended up in her frame, and shit's the type of girl that was going to make me wait 2 or 3 months, and I was going to be a beta bucks, but
come on, man. No, come on.
Under that sundress.
You're not going to meet one girl and then cut off all the other ones, bro. That's never been you. Don't even act like it, dude. Come on.
What do you mean?
You can meet that girl in church, and then you can meet the girl at the bar, and you can be like, you know what? I met this girl in church, and she's better. Or you know what? I met this girl at the bar, and you know what? She's way better than this girl I met at church. But at least the girl in church, you have at least some clues that this might be a good girl. You have
I don't think it's a good clue. See, that's where I don't think that
it's a clue, bro.
Are clues, man. And like you said the type of girls that you would want from the church are the super small percentage, bro. Like the ones that are the virgins and stuff. Like my thing is I want a girl that is gonna go to church every week and she's gonna come with me. If I meet a girl that doesn't go to church and she'll come with me, that's cool. I don't care what you've been doing. But if I meet a girl in church, like she already does something that's important in my life, right? Just like
if you met a girl at the gym, or you met a girl at a concert that for like your favorite band. Like, you have something in common, right? It's something that
See, but I
matters
don't
to you.
believe it. I don't believe that's a thing at all. Like, I would never want to be with a girl who goes to the gym at all. Never. I go to the gym, but I would never be with a girl that I meet at the gym ever. I don't
want to. You don't want your girl to go to the gym?
No, I will. Like, she can go, but she can go to curves, or she can go to some girl shit. Like, it doesn't matter. She can go to the girl section. Like, she's never gonna go to the she's never gonna be a gym girl. A gym girl, like, is literally a girl who wants attention. Like, she buys certain pants and she wears certain things and she does certain things to get attention from men. And attention is
like, you can meet a
So,
girl
I'm
at a yoga class. You can meet a girl at a spin class. You can
dude.
you
Gym
can meet a
girls
girl
are
that
like
goes to a
literally the
fitness club you
biggest
go to.
red flag to me. No, gym girls are the biggest red flag in my opinion. I don't trust them.
We're generalizing, right? So you're conflating a girl that goes to the gym with a girl that's like flaunting her butt on Instagram and doing all these weird videos and filming herself in the gym. It's not exactly the same person.
Oh,
right?
no.
All I'm saying is
a girl
you
cannot
should
do any of those videos and still be a gym chick that wants attention from men. Dude, it just shows that they have a certain expectation. Like, they want a certain type of guy. It's like, the thing is, if you care about vanity that much, it's bad. You shouldn't. Like, any girl that cares that much about her looks, or she wants a man that looks really good, it's just caring about vanity too much. It's being too shallow. It's just a negative trait for somebody to have. I want somebody who wants you for who you are, not the way you look or because you go to the gym.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you on that one, man. And I don't even think most girls even want the guy that's super buff. They want a dude who's just like in shape and not the super muscly guy. Like, I think those guys probably even struggle a lot because they have like all these like self-esteem issues. But that's another topic.
I can actually concede to you, bro, and I will say that the best women, you're right, can be from church, but how many guys, like my argument would just be, how many guys are going to get those virgins, or the ones that were perfectly raised there and stay, like, I do agree though. Like, if some guy was watching this that was 17 years old and he doesn't know what he's doing with his life, fuck yeah, I say the same thing all the time. Go to fucking church, bro. That's the only thing. That's what I did when I was young. I had a crazy, awesome social circle of people because I was in church. So yeah, I'm always gonna say that. But I know that a majority of these dudes that I'm talking to, they're 21 plus. They're already, like, if they do go to the church, they're not going to get the good virgin girl. 9 times out of 10, they need to work on themselves anyways, because most guys ain't shit today and they can't pay for or take care of a girl if they wanted to. So a lot of these guys that like we're talking about, it's mostly the older dudes. And yeah, man, these older guys, they're not. I don't want them going for. I don't want them going for a church girl that's like a post wall, born again virgin. It's
yeah,
just,
but so. I think you mentioned on a video that I watched you that like the girls that you're going for, the girls that you're concerned about are like the 18 to 24, right?
Yeah.
Okay. If I meet a girl that's 18 to 24 and I met her at the bar or I met her at church, which one's more likely to be a virgin?
Well, no, actually, I won't even say that because I fucking know girls who go to the club who are virgins. Like, yeah, I can't. I mean, yeah, there's more likely that it'll be at the church. It's more likely, but still, bro, even today in 2024, nah, dude, like, most of these girls at the church are not virgins either. Like, we all have this mentality that there's like good girls and bad girls, bro.
No,
I think all these girls are fucking. I think all these girls are sleeping around, bro. Like, I think that like the virgins that we're talking about, dude, we're talking like 1% maybe, like maybe.
I'm not saying that I really like personally, like, I don't care that much about a woman's sexual history, right? To a certain extent. Like, I don't care if she's a virgin. Like, I never ask women their body counts. Like, I just kind of look at how they behave and I choose whether or not I'd want to be with this girl, right?
That's so, like, deceptive. They can be deceptive. You need to ask them to be with you because it shows they respect you if they're honest with you.
Yeah, but also, like, you never know if they're going to be honest, man. You never know if they're going to tell the truth.
I told you they will be honest with that one guy. Dude, it's two different types of guys. If you're like, what's your body count? I hope it's not high. I don't like girls with high body count. Then yeah, she's gonna be like, oh no, it's not high. It's 3. I hope he doesn't. I hope he doesn't try. But if you're like, oh yeah, it's no big deal. I don't give a shit. Like, what is it? Like, I don't care. I'm a hoe. We could be hoes together. Then she's gonna be like, she's gonna be like, oh, I found, dude. Every girl dreams of finding her other hoe. Like, especially a hoe. A girl with like a 20-30 body count. She's like, one day I'm gonna find a guy and we're just both hoes, and we're gonna love each other because we both did the same thing. We're equal. We're the same. We're gonna love each other for that because they're so stupid, you know. And like, but every time, so that's why whenever they meet a guy who's like all open and he's like, yeah, I got a 60 body count, blah blah blah. What are you? And she's like, oh yeah, I got a 35. Low key, most guys are like, the reason why they don't care is because they truly don't care. That's a short-term mating strategy. He was just hooking up with her. He doesn't. She can say 35, and he doesn't care because he's not trying to wife her. So that's why, like, that happens all the time, dude. You know how many, like, a guy can wife a dude or wife a woman with a 15 body count, and she might have had 5 chads in her past that she was honest with about her body count. That, like, they asked her, and she was like, yeah. And her husband, if he asked her, she lies to him. Who does she really love? Who does she really love? The guy who she was honest with in the past? Or the guy in the future who she married and she lied and said 3 to because she doesn't want him to see her differently?
Yeah, I mean, the guy that she was honest with, man.
Yeah, and that's why, like, I want guys to pursue that strategy. That's the only reason why.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one, man.
Oh, dude. This was great, though, dude. I can't say enough. Like, I know I'm keeping you almost to 2 hours, and we said we wouldn't go this long. So
oh, dude, it's all good, man.
Let's read some chat and see if anybody said anything, or if you have any other points, you can say anything.
How many do we have in the chat, or how many people watched it?
There's 56 people watching, but they're mostly on Twitter. Wherever all my followers on Twitter now.
Comments the entire time as you guys are talking.
Panel tonight. Breaks my heart as a Christian, but I would be very cautious to give commitment. Vet her for longer than a year. Her actions match with her words. Yeah, and Liv Love is a Christian woman too. In my opinion, you should not be in a club as a woman. It says a lot about her character, morals, and values. The best girls I have met have never stepped foot in a club, and if they have, no drinking or drugs. I know. Can you guys believe she is married now? Knowles had her on recently, and she talked. Oh yeah, she's talking about what's her name? I agree, Donnie. I would never choose a girl in the club, no matter what she is doing there. She is engaging in risky behavior, which includes dressing risky, putting herself around horny men at night. Yeah, but can we truly say working at Hooters is the same as going to the club? I wouldn't classify them as the same. Yeah, they're not. One's the C tier of the fuck girl tier list, and one's the B tier. So yeah, they are on a different tier on my tier list. But he doesn't do that. He doesn't drink. I wouldn't want to be around a man, let alone a woman drinking drunk when I myself don't drink. Who is this? A Facebook?
Hey.
Is that one of your friends?
I go to church to find hoes. That's funny. Who said that?
I go to church to find Bang Tango. This is one of my realists on here. Born again virgins have loads of sexual experience. They're the best. She better have a body count of 50 or get the fuck out. Okay, Bang. Oh, you're just trying to advertise, you piece of shit. He has a point about the bitch shield in clubs. Was that you saying bitch shield? Or was that me?
I didn't use that word, but he probably yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what he's talking about. Just say you want to pray her at your crib. What?
Pray with her at your crib.
Yeah, I guess so. Values is why we discriminate the place we would meet girls. I even just got, but yeah, that's exactly what you're saying. I had to leave and just got back. I don't know what was said, but people will virtue signal.
Wait, so tell me this, right? I've made an assertion about I think this is the best place to meet a woman, right? Where do you think is the best place to meet a woman? Like, you don't know her, you just met her, whether it's through cold approach or your friends, it doesn't matter.
I truly believe, call me fucking, I don't know, like, I guess this is like a spiritual. I don't think that there's anywhere special. Like, I think that you could meet the person of your dreams fucking anywhere. Like, I think you should, like, when you're single as a guy, I think you just travel through life and not pursue anything. I think that you focus on your goal, you focus on yourself, you focus on, just being a good person, being Christ-like. And I think the right girl is going to come to you. And I don't know where the fuck I'm going to meet her at. A gas station, Hooters, a club, church. I don't know where I'm going to meet her at. I just truly think that, because I'm never like, yeah, can I judge a book by the cover? Can I go to church and know that this girl might be more virtuous because at the cover, she's at church, she's dressed this way, etc. Yeah, I could. But I don't think Christ wants me to judge a book by the cover. I think that he wants me to judge people based off of them as a person. He's taught me discernment. He's put me through certain life experience for me to learn discernment. I think that I'm supposed to trust my discernment. I think that that's the right thing I'm supposed to do. I don't think that I'm supposed to try to find them in a certain place. I think that he's going to put them in front of me in the right place. Because I honestly think 80-90% of people ain't shit today, bro. Like on every level, whether it's being Christian, whether it's being a good person, whether it's being lazy. There's like, I just think most people suck. It's not that I hate women or that I hate men. I hate both of them. I just think a lot of people suck today. So I'm just going to kind of filter everybody everywhere. Like there's like a 1 in 10 chance I just meet a good person anywhere I go, you know?
Do you think guys should cold approach?
That guys should cold approach?
Yeah, like me and my buddies, we got on the weekends, right? And they would see me go and approach girls. I go out with like 2 or 3 of my buddies. Sometimes we have like 2 or 3 girls with us. And I'd go out and I'd talk to different girls and I'd approach them, and they wouldn't. Sometimes I'd get numbers, sometimes I wouldn't. But now I'm like, hey, you got to go talk to her. Like, go do it. Because I know if they have a night where I don't tell them to do it, they're not going to do it. So like, that's kind of my prescription for them. Like, hey, if we're going out and there's cute girls, like, bro, like I'm going to make you go talk to her, you know? Like,
yeah.
Like, would you do the same?
Yeah, so guys need to get their anxiety down and learn. But see, to me, cold approach, there's no difference between cold approaching at a club to me and cold approaching a guy at a finance conference. Like it's you have to. It's just like walk up to dude like, hey, what's up, bro? Like, what do you do? You know, like, are you like what type of finance are you into? Like, it's the same thing to me. Like, it's just social skills, and because I don't see women as different, I just see them as a fucking dude. I want guys to cold approach, but without intent. Like, I want you to cold approach with if there is intent, it's the intent is to friend zone them and just be like, yo, what's up, bro? Knuckle bump, you know, and like see them as a friend. It's not to try to sleep with them. It's not to try to show signs of you're attracted to them. It's not to pedestalize them and call them pretty or beautiful or any weird shit, you know. A good way to get your friends to cold approach is you say, hey, give me $50 and I'll give you this $50 back at the end of the night if you go approach 50 girls. And like, and that's
Dang.
the way. Yeah, it really incentivizes them to go get the 50 cold. And like whenever I say cold approach, I say you only invite to an event and you only invite to do collaborations, because I'm trying to teach people to do personal brands. So that's like the number one thing is invite to collaborate. It's like, hey,
what if somebody doesn't have an event or like a collab of any kind? What if they're just like a regular dude?
I think you're instantly framing yourself as low value and to not like it's not even worth it then, because like whenever you have an event, something fun that you're going to do, like, hey, me and these girls are going to bowling this tomorrow night, or hey, we're going to on Sunday. You know, basically you always have something planned. Like you should always have something planned. So then when you cold approach, you always have something that you can invite them to.
Okay, never mind. I thought about it differently. I got you. Never mind. Yeah.
Yeah, but no, because when you do it that way, you're instantly framed as somebody. You're not framed as a guy that's walking up to hit on them. You're framed as a guy that you're displaying high value. You're like displaying. You're showing them that you have something fun for us to do. It's not just I'm trying to hit on you. You know, it's like I'm trying to have fun with you. I'm trying to show you that I'm a fun person. And if you're doing this with girls around you, it's way easier because they're like, oh shit, these girls are going too. Yes, I would love to come because you have other girls going. And you should always frame it as you got other girls coming. If like only one girl's with you and no girls are with you, you should frame it as, hey, me and some of my other friends that are girls, like we're all going out to do this thing. Because like women just feel safe. Like in today's day and age, like I said earlier, guys don't realize how unsafe the world is to women right now. Like they're not going to trust a dude unless he gets a bunch of pussy or there's a bunch of women around him, because they never know if he's fucking scary or a rapist or something weird, you know? Fuck, I'm not supposed to say that word. My bad.
Whoops.
I don't care. I'm already fucked on YouTube.
No, but that's where that's where I agree. And personally, like the church that I go to, like it's easy to do that because there's already things going on. Like, hey, we're going to this. Do you want to come? Hey, we're going to the beach tomorrow. Do you want to come? Hey, we're all going to eat after this. Do you want to come with us? And you could literally say that to like every girl there. But the thing is, like every girl is there, like, hey, I hope a guy comes and talks to me, or I hope somebody invites me to a group, go out to eat, or hey, like I'm new here, like I hope somebody like invites me to come hang out with their friends. I don't feel as though the club is really, or any bar or anything like that. Like when I go out, like people aren't just like, hey, I hope a random person comes and talks to me. They're out with their friends. You know, they're doing stuff. They're not people. Some people, a lot of girls have their guard up when they're out somewhere at a restaurant because dudes are predatory. And at least when I'm at like some kind of already built up social circle, I mean, I could join a pickleball league and it's the same thing, really. It's a sober environment where people are doing something other than, being out, and it's not a risky environment. Girls don't have their guard up. They'll talk to you for as long as you want, really.
Sorry,
No,
I'm in a pickleball league, or no, I was.
Yeah.
As
Yeah,
my
but-
husband is like right there. I'm like, hey, pickleball.
But no, dude, I really do. So like, I think it's great to have church events to always go to, and like when you're at the club, you have something to invite somebody to that's something like that, because you're doing such a good, you're inviting them to a way better group of people than maybe
Yeah.
they're around the club. So like, I think it's great to work those two things together for sure. And you might save a girl. You might have a girl that's like at a weird point in her life and she completely pivots it and changes it because you invite her from the club to the church life, And so, yeah, I would definitely encourage that. But the big thing, bro, and like this is the big problem for every guy trying to get a social circle is they don't understand how to friend zone. Like you got to have like a general or like a current, like you got to have a girl that's your corporal that listens to you or respects you a lot, that goes out with you, that's really hot, that other girls look up to and respect, and other girls want to be like, because that's kind of the entrance to
That's
everything.
hard to find.
Yeah, I think
That's
it's hard to find depending on what type of guy you are. Like if you're the type of guy that's really fun, those girls always want a guy that's fun and to like go do fun stuff with, that's like not a creep, like not trying to like sleep with them the whole time, And a good church guy is actually the type of guy that can get away with not acting like a creep if he's like normal, So I really think that guys from the church have the highest chance of being able to friend zone, especially if it's like one of the girls from the church too, like the hottest girl there. That's like the biggest hack to everything that I do is friend zoning a really hot girl. And that's what it all starts with. Like if a guy's having trouble with social circle, it's because he doesn't have that first one or two girls that to kind of like get him in the door, I guess you could say, with using social circle. And I will agree that like every guy takes different amounts of times to get to that point. Like I've seen some people with Michael Sartain's thing take months to get to it, and some of them take 25 days. And I've seen some guys with like my thing take a month, and I've seen them also take like 3 or 4 months. So it really depends how good you are at just kind of learning to socialize. Like you're right, some guys suck at socializing and they can't be friends with women very well. I guess it just depends how old you are, because old dogs don't learn new tricks very well.
Yeah, I would say like 9 out of 10 guys who are like under the age of 35, they would never try to friend zone a hot girl. 9 out of 10, maybe like 99 out of 100 would be like, no, I'm gonna try to hook up with this girl.
Well,
Because
so like
that's what I would say.
ironically, what ends up happening is the guys that are older do better. And the reason why is because they're kind of like you're in your 30s now, so you're getting to that point where kind of don't care. It's not that big of a deal. And like, guys that are like 35 or older that try to learn social circle, once they get past the little barrier of wanting to sleep with the girls, like the simping phase, you kind of realize like it's way easier for them. It's actually way easier because they're already past the phase of giving a shit. They're already older, maybe they already have kids, maybe they've already been married or whatever, and it's easy to not give a shit. And the biggest issue is guys like guys just be caring too much. They're like, oh, I really like this girl, and it. The more you try, the more she pulls away,
Yeah, I mean that's where I do agree. Like, I don't think guys should chase girls at all. Like personally, like every relationship I've ever been in, it was the girl almost like begging me for like begging me for commitment. Like, so like that, I really do agree with you on that one. Yeah, I don't know, man. Like I definitely like I'm all for friend zoning girls, but it just seems like I don't know. I couldn't see most guys even wanting to do that or even knowing how.
Dude, and I agree that it, like I said, it's a barrier to entry, but dude, to me, it's a necessity. Like these guys don't have a choice in my brain. Like in my mind, it's like if you don't do this, you pedestalize her. Like you see her as different. You see her as a person with a vagina, and she's pretty, or you're gonna treat her different just because of her vagina. And like that actually makes the girl want to run away from you. Because she's like, oh, this guy only sees me as a vagina. I don't like this. Like, they literally are turned on. Like, when you friend zone a girl, sometimes they're like, what the fuck did he just do?
Yeah.
He did not do that to me. I want him now, you know?
Yeah. That's probably why I'd like more of your advice, because every time I friend zone a girl and I like invite her out somewhere, the whole time she's just trying to figure out why I don't want her, and she's like nosy about me, like when I go talk to other girls, like she's just nosy about it. So like I did that this weekend. Like I brought out a girl I was friends with, and it was horrible. It was awful. Like I had such a bad time, and I was like, man, I'm not doing this again. So I mean, how do you like do that right? Like obviously, probably never bring them with you.
You establish boundaries immediately, and what I mean by that is like you say, like for me, it's easy because I have a kid. It's just like,
Oh, you
hey,
do?
yes, I do. Yeah, yeah, I got baby mama and everything. I'm fucking on some future shit.
How old's your kid?
I'm on some Elon shit, but no, it's definitely easier when you're older. You have a kid, anything like that. It's like, hey, look, I can't waste time in dating. I literally can't. I don't have time. I'm not going to waste my money. I have a child. I have, I have people that I'm responsible for. So it's either you like me or you don't. And you gotta show that to me, because I'm not going to be with a woman that doesn't show me genuine desire, that she really really is down for me in that way. And girls learn, and when you frame it, I don't go on more than one date. There's only one time I've gone on 3 dates, and there's like a handful of times I did 2. It didn't take me long before I learned like I'm never wasting my time past 1 day. And the reason why is because I would tell them straight up, I'm not wasting my time. And because I know the girls that really like me aren't going to make me wait. So, but if you don't establish boundaries immediately, the girl's going to be like, well, you're not establishing who you are as a man. To me, you have to establish who you are. And don't get me wrong, some girls are going to be like, well, I don't like that. Like, I don't want to be, especially church girls. I think they really don't want to be with somebody who has control or has the power. And I agree. So like, here's the thing: a woman's long-term main strategy, I agree, it's a good thing. I don't think it's bad. I think it's great for a woman to have control in some relationships. Andrew Wilson says this all the time. Should men be the leaders of all relationships? I think only Christian men should be leaders in relationships. I don't think all men should be leaders in relationships. I don't think they're meant to be.
I agree. I think only Christian men should be the leaders in relationships, because like we have to be led by something other than ourselves, right? So that is God.
Yeah. So because of that, I truly I'm not going to let a woman do that to me, because I think that you got to remember, like, this, even in the church, it's super, like, feminism is so strong. As Andrew always says, we're swimming in it. We're swimming in feminism. It's something that is so bad. We can't just get rid of it out of nowhere. Or sometimes we can't just get out of it and just like, or we'll think we're out of feminism, but we're still kind of all the way in it. And a lot of the women are like that, man. They still want the power in the relationship. They still want the frame. And like I said, the reason why it's safer is because, and they talk about this in evolutionary psychology books, like when a woman's with her long-term main strategy, he's not going to cheat on her. Probably he's going to be a good husband. He's going to be a good father. He's a good guy. Like the long-term mate, like the little fat dad bod guy is a good. He doesn't have options to go cheat and stuff. He's a great man for the long term. He's the greatest father figure and a grandfather. So I agree that that's good. But we know this, that women have like a Disney fairy tale. Like they want Prince Charming. And what Prince Charming is the short term and the long term in one, which is impossible to find. Most girls aren't ever going to find that guy. They're Prince Charming that has all the.
Yeah,
but also
they won't commit and they'll cheat.
Yeah. He won't
or have an open relationship.
Yeah, exactly. So that's our job. But that's our job to be that guy. To me, it's our job to try to be Prince Charming. You need to be the short-term guy. You need to go to the gym, work on yourself, be high status, be respected, be all that, but be a long-term guy. Be a guy that's not going to cheat, be a guy that's for commitment, be a guy that's going to be a good man in the long-term things, but also turn her on, make her pussy tingle. Sorry if I'm not allowed to say that.
No, dude. Yeah, I mean, 100%. That's a journey though, and I feel like a guy has to go through. I mean, I would never tell a guy that's like 18 going into dating like, hey, you got to experience a lot of women to like get to that point. But I feel as though like the only way to go into a relationship and have it work in your favor or just last long term is if you have a lot of experience with women and you have a lot of options. And the only reason that you're with the woman that you like the girl that you chose, I'm sure she was not your only option. I'm sure you probably had more options than you wanted when you're like, you know what, I'm going to commit to this girl, or whatever your relationship is.
It's all about them competing for you, and like them showing they're the best. And she showed me she was the best. She cooked and cleaned and did a bunch of stuff, and she showed me that she was worthy of being. Once a girl sleeps with you, it's up to her to prove why you should keep her around. It's not. I don't have to keep you. A lot of guys will be like, "Oh, she sucks my dick or she cooks steak. Okay, I'm instantly wifing her." And it's like, and that's a mistake. Whereas, like, you do need to like see how much she does for you, but I don't think you instantly wife. I think that they're supposed to work up to become a wife, especially today. Like, I don't think that's something that you should give to people willy nilly, because, as you know, you can get screwed over in marriage.
Yep. And that's something that you teach that I definitely agree with. You should really only be with the women that are pursuing you, like that are chasing you.
This is the predicament for Christians. It makes it really hard. It's really hard to be a Christian, but then also say like you want a girl that has genuine desire for you. And like
I think you can find that in a church. I can go to my church group and let's just say there's 30 hot girls, and I know they're going to be there. At the end of it, I can go talk to pretty much all of them. I can go say hi, talk to them for like a little bit, and they'll be like, "All right, I'll see you later." I can compliment some of them. I can joke with some of them, and then I can invite a couple of them with me. And then the girls I didn't are like, "What the heck?" And then I'll you can do the same thing with the other ones. And it's the same thing with any social group. The only barrier is probably like these girls. I mean, you can't go. You can't pull a pinwheel with all the girls in the church group. You can't hook up with a bunch of them. They'll find out.
Yeah, it's not the same. Well, I think it still makes you more attractive when you do that pigeonhole. How much she isn't superficial. Donnie has the wrong face for horn rimmed glasses. I don't know what horn rimmed glasses is. That the type of glasses you got on?
Nah, bro. I get compliments for these glasses all the time. I don't know what this man's saying.
He'd be getting all the church girls with him. Stay at home in this.
These aren't. Yeah.
You look good without glasses, bro. Take the glasses off. You don't ever gotta wear it. Yeah, dude, you got a good face. You got a good face card. Stay at home in this economy. Can't see that being. Oh, and pause. Stay at home in this economy. I can't see that being a possibility for most going forward. Yeah, it is kind of crazy, bro, how hard it is to go out. And I will actually concede that the church is way cheaper of a hangout. Y'all are always going to try to find that's one thing. It was always free, or it was always extremely cheap hangouts because everybody was trying to save money. So I do think that the church might get the W on that. He needs sports wrap glasses like Riddick. Like Riddick. You look gangster. Loves. Oh, X. What's up, X? Most Christians have always been fake Christians, at least in my lifetime. David Jones. That's what David Jones thinks. I grew up in church, and the only difference between the girls who went to church and the girls who didn't is the church girls were in relationships and hid what they were doing, but did the same things. Yeah, sometimes. As the girls who didn't, with more guys. Yeah. The real church girls get wiped up right away, age 18 usually. Yeah, they do. There was a girl that I was really close friends with when I was in church, and yeah, she was like one of those really good church girls. Boom, instantly, like 18, 19, and the dude was like 26. I
mean, I don't know about 18, but definitely like 18 to 24 for sure.
Yeah. The girls who didn't go to church just did it more with more guys and didn't. Oh, wait. Did I read that already? I saw many of them in high school, so I didn't have any chance to get one. Should have gone to church, bro. 20-plus-year-old virgins are rare. 25-plus anomaly. 30-plus, never. I met a 30-plus the other day, and it's always like the really weird fat girls that are like asexual, or they're like lesbians, and they've never had sex. That's weird. Two people can still be good people, but not compatible. Good point.
100%.
Yeah. I met my wife on the internet relay chat for people practicing English.
Stop. Is he being serious?
Bang, are you serious, Bang? I didn't know this about you. How long did Loves make her hubby wait? Oh, don't make her answer that.
No, you don't need to answer that.
You want him to answer that? He's home.
You can if you want to. That's up to you.
Sebastian, can you come down here real quick? See, because girls were covert. Like, you can't trust.
I do have to get off pretty soon.
Yeah, she's like, I'll prove it with my own husband.
Yeah, I'll be like, can you come down here real quick and answer a question, please?
This is a super personal question. This is crazy.
It is. I'm surprised that she's entertaining it.
I know, right?
I'm like doing up answer. So the question was, this is my husband Sebastian. How long did Lubs make her hubby wait? This is my husband Sebastian. Sergio.
What's up,
Sebastian?
I talk about Sergio all the time.
What up, boys?
What's up, dude?
She didn't ask me to wait. Her dad did.
What?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's
No, I mean,
respect, though. That I
Ew.
respect that.
Like,
Shout out to girls with
their
dads.
first date. Like it's like unusual, but like on our first, not even first date, but first time meeting each other, like we were just shooting shit about like what our goals and what we wanted, and they just kind of aligned. And the more we like dated and hung out, we just kind of knew that that's kind of the direction we wanted to go. And yeah, but then I tried to have a conversation with her dad. I tried to tell him, I was like, hey, like let's go get breakfast sometime so I can have a talk with you. And he's like, let's talk now. He like fucking like unfolds his seat and like it's like an interrogation room.
Mind you, we lived in California at the time, and we were like flying into Pennsylvania, so we're like just like in town for the weekend.
That's crazy.
How long have y'all
dude.
been married?
Since October.
They just
Not
got
that
married.
long. Yeah, it's been
Congrats.
Yeah, what did my dad say to you?
That he knows that peg A goes into slot B or something like that.
Man,
And no one will be good enough for his daughter. So, but
that's really good, though. That's a good father right there. I like how we just gave a good example of what a father is supposed to do there.
Everybody watching, be
Yeah,
a good dad or get a good dad.
That's traditional right there. We're talking about traditional shit today. That's traditional right there.
Meanwhile, I was in the house. I didn't know they were having this conversation. So he came in
Sergio
and
has
was
one-itis.
your dad, and I was
Yeah.
like, oh my god.
Yeah, I do got one-itis for my girl. Yeah, I do. I don't care. I'll have one-itis for my girl.
My dad and him get along now. Nothing.
yeah, no, actually, yeah, he was real hard to read at the beginning. He's like rough around the edges.
My dad's
but
real like hardcore blue collar like mechanic. Like
he's like, I fixed fire engines for the fire department for 60 years, and I'm like, I'm a male nurse. And I fucking show up with red dyed hair.
Yeah, he's gonna dye my hair red.
Oh man, yeah. He's definitely proud then. That's
Hey
what
guys,
every
Oh my
father
God.
father.
it's getting late. I got to get off.
Yeah, I'll see you later, Donnie. Thank you for coming, bro. See you
Yeah,
on
man.
Twitter. I'll see you on Instagram. You have a good night, man.
Appreciate
Hit
it,
me
bro.
up.
Talk to you
Anybody
guys
else
later.
that wants to debate, or if there's any other thing, a topic, hit me up, bro. We'll do it for sure.
Awesome,
Sorry,
man.
he's gonna
Do
go
it.
back to
I
doing
appreciate
Be
his
it.
safe, man. Peace
See you.
out.
thing. Nice to meet you, Johnny. Sorry, he's gonna go back to doing his own thing. I was
Yeah,
like,
you're
"Hey,
good.
come
We're
down,
just
answer
gonna go through.
questions."
We're just gonna go through the rest of the chat.
Yeah.
Detective Spurgio cooking. I forgot what part that was when I was cooking. How's it going? What's up, Jay? We were just not going through the comments at the end, man. Yeah, but that don't sound any better than women say the same. Well, Live Love, what were you talking about? You just sent the 856. Oh, I guess that was like 20 minutes ago. I don't know what that was referenced to. Yeah, approach what's the worst that can happen. She says no, move to the next one. Yeah, I mean, the big thing is, like I said, I just want people to be friends, bro. I just want men and women to just be friends, man. Like, if something sparks from there, if the woman sparks from there, like she's really crazy for you, then it happens. If it doesn't, then it doesn't. It's not that big of a deal. Lauren, what'd you think about the debate? Was it fun?
No, I think it was good. I really do.
I find myself kind of feeling in the middle of both of our sides. I think he's kind of the same too. He ended up agreeing with me a lot at the end too. I think like neither of us are 100% on our worldviews, and we're both kind of like.
Well, I don't think it's not that. I don't think it's you guys aren't 100% on your worldviews. I think, and that's why I kept chiming in to try to redirect certain things. Not that you guys were going off on different tangents, but what he was talking about, like, oh, church is the best place, but at the same time, he's saying like, I don't think it's the only place. He's like, I think church is the best place when it comes to determining certain like virtues. Specifically, like I was saying outside of this entire conversation, to like maybe like a specific denomination, like you're like the likelihood that you're going to meet somebody who has the same virtues based off of like your Christian values within your church. Of course, you're going to meet them at church, but at the same time, like you weren't denying that all like wholesale. but you were saying that I don't think that church is like the only like litmus test in order to meet a woman. I think, hell, like you're even like giving like latitude in social settings, and not even just social settings period, but like the club. It's like there's people who are working at the club, there's friends who go with you to the club, like there's people who you are constantly like with on a weekend basis who may have a few drinks, but like they're not there because they're just trying to scope out a man. I mean, that wasn't your words specifically, but like I said, you're giving more latitude to the more social aspect outside of some like, you know, religious organization, versus him saying that he's trying to give credence to the religious organization in addition to like the events that are assigned to it. So yeah, you were both in the middle in that regard. um but you were both saying the same thing at the same time, in my opinion, when like it came down to like you never know like what her intentions are, because she could be covert. So I was siding more with you on like the whole aspect of whether it's in church or not, like you're gonna find out.
So just there's for some reason I just really believe in like finding the diamond in the rough, like finding like for some reason it's like when Jesus talked about being with like the poor or the bad people like the bad people of society
The
like
pariah of society.
yeah the way I really understood everything even from a young age with Christianity, it was like I'm supposed to be around that. Like I think that you're supposed to be
Right.
around the darkness, and I think that that's where you find the greatest things in life. Like I don't think like I don't know. There's for some
You feel people are people are redeemable.
yeah, and
Not that he wasn't saying that, but like, yeah, I get
I just think that that redemption is the most beautiful part of it. Like it's like don't get me wrong, it's nice if somebody has good virtues and they're signaling it and they're showing it with their life, like they're living it and they're going to church and they're doing all the correct stuff. Like that's great and all, but it's like I don't know. I want somebody who recognizes their flaws. Like and sometimes
right.
some people in church have like this thing like, and I'm scared of
Mask it.
relationships from like
Mask their flaws under the fact that they went through some like process where it's like, okay, I've acknowledged it here, I've expelled that there, therefore boom, I can move forward and pretend like none of that ever happened.
well yeah, well it's also just kind of scary because like I'm flawed. Like I'm not perfect at all, and
Me
I know
neither.
that. Yeah. So, but like my thing is, if I find a girl in a church, I get the feeling that she's gonna like. Don't get me. This sounds bad. I feel like
You don't
she's
mean
gonna hold you to like this standard that you're supposed to be. And don't get me wrong. I think that men should be held to stand. Like I'm not saying that guys shouldn't be held to a certain standard, but I feel like the chance of her leaving you over something bad happening is just way higher because she's gonna expect you to be this perfect Christian man, and maybe you're not. Like I have a friend that I went to church with for years, and he became like a big alcoholic, and like he like was famous at the church because he like got rid of his alcoholism and went back to his family and like did everything right. This kid was a super Christian when we were young. He read Bible. He was the greatest in Texas at Bible quiz. He
that's
was
usually the most, those
literally,
people who are usually the most like religious
yeah,
at a young age are the ones who are like,
yeah.
yeah.
But he was number one, and it's just like the whenever you choose to be that person, like you're just choosing to be completely scorned for like that really bad side. I don't know, like you're just
Well,
setting yourself up to fail because you're gonna fail. You're not gonna be perfect. You're never gonna be perfect.
right.
So it's like you're setting yourself up to be like ridiculed and like you're not supposed to
Well,
do this.
that's
You're
part of
supposed to be a
religion. So
Christian.
part of being Christian is like not like when I say part of being Christian, I'm not saying like part of the Christian faith, but it is mentioned in the Christian faith. Like part of you believing in that is subjecting yourself to ridicule, subjecting yourself to judgment from outside influences. Now that's just like at the core of it, but we're talking about it on like right now, you and I, on like a more like I guess a modern day level. So yes, like that is where you kind of separate yourself from like the pro forma Christians versus like the ones who are just virtue signaling versus the ones who have just been. No, you know, because I don't like to dog like as much as I do dog on like born again Christians, and when I say that, I don't do it publicly, but sometimes when you see like born again Christians, they're like, oh, well, you go this direction and like you're saved, but then they like don't acknowledge any fault that they've done in the past. And by acknowledging past faults, I mean perhaps, I don't know, apologizing to somebody that they fucked over, and that's outside of like my purview, out of your purview. But when they act like they haven't done any wrong and haven't made like amends, like that's what I mean by like born again, like issues of like born again Christians that I have. But back to the like, sorry, just to like get back on track, I'm saying that I personally, the whole idea of somebody having like being virtuous when it comes to Christian beliefs, not that people don't find that later in life, because that's part of being redeemable, because there's people who like don't have that, and then they become redeemable as far as like following like those Christian aspects. Now there are people who are moral. Well, then there's the argument of morality with or without religion, but again, that goes way deeper. That's why I kept trying to like veer the conversation back with you guys, because I'm like, now we're getting back to morality of like within church or without church. However, back to what I was saying is, do you like when you get to like the virtue signaling aspect of it, it's like, so do you, I guess, acknowledge your own sort of flaws, like you were saying, like acknowledging your own faults in the whole process of finding that like perfect partner, like or not perfect, but finding that partner or that virtuous partner within that realm. And I don't think that was heavily touched upon like in what he was saying, in my opinion. And I'm sorry, like I kind of like lost track of what I was saying, but
No, you're good. I just think that like, I don't know, like I said, it's like the people who need help the most, or like, I don't know, like if maybe if I was like
well,
really the church and Christianity, and like I would be in the church, but maybe since I'm not really crazy about my faith and in the church, maybe that's why I feel this way.
well, I don't think it's like, well, again, you tell me how you. Like, I'm not going to tell you how you feel about your faith. That's you. I think there's like that the whole thing with like the faith and then like the church, like separating those and then conflating those. Now, I'll be anecdotal here for myself, and I'll just throw my denomination out there. Already was, but like I'm Catholic. But like in this conversation, in this like point that I'm trying to make, it shouldn't matter. But like I was born raised Catholic my entire like I was born and raised Catholic, followed that throughout my entire life. Did I have my crisis of faith, like my crisis of conscience? Absolutely, I did. Is that inherent to Catholicism? No, but like I have. And now like and I'm tying into some of the points you guys were making. Like, do I have a good family structure? Yes. Do I have and I think you out of more people than others like on the internet know, like I have a great relationship, not only just like with my father, but like even with my brother. Like I have such a great relationship with them.
Yeah.
And now that's not saying like, oh, but then I became a hoe afterwards. Like, no, that's not what I mean. I'm just saying as far as like when it comes to my faith, like I had that crisis of faith. And then I came back to it, not just because of my husband, because like him and I have, and I, you know what, he doesn't mind if I say this because I've asked him this before, if it's okay if I share this. Like we've both had this like crisis of faith, which at the same time has kind of helped us, like when we are starting to like, not even just starting to date, but like when we got married and moving forward. And again, I'm just speaking strictly on the church part of it. And I'm just only on the church part of it, was like moving forward, like but when we look back on like how we were raised, like we liked that, like we liked the environment that we were raised in. Our parents are not like crazy Bible thumpers, like but they had some like there's stability, there was tradition, there was community. That's what we both very much value, and it still resides within the Catholic faith. Now, if we could find it elsewhere, perhaps we'd go that way. But no, not even perhaps we'd go that way, because we still are instilled in our own Christian values, is what I'm trying to say. So when it comes to faith and instilling that in like the church, and that's why I agree with you on the virtue signaling part, because like faith, and I've said this the last time we were on a stream, I'm like, not that they're always inherent, but you don't just change them like underwear. Now you can influence, you can guide, and you can do all of those things. but just like, hey, you know what, like I can meet somebody elsewhere, and like, or I'm gonna meet somebody here and like they're just gonna follow along with me. No, there has to be a lot of other moving parts in order for them to even want to like agree upon that. So anyways,
Absolutely.
that, so in my personal experience, like, yes, like you have that, and to your point, like that deviation, you're not sure, you never know if people are going to be virtue signaling, you never know if people are going to be not even just virtue signaling, but are still like trying to like rediscover or perhaps discover some sort of faith, and they meet somebody who is going to be like ardent and maybe very full of like full of conviction, who they, and as a woman maybe you don't want to let on the fact that, like, you know, like
Mhm.
you have led a sinful life, even though like everybody fucking has. But I don't know. And once again, I'm getting off on like a whole other tangent, but like I was agreeing with both of you in the sense of like there's some nuance to all of it, but I felt like he was going more towards like the gatekeeping aspect of it versus you saying like, oh, like the church doesn't matter. But I, at the same time, you said the church does matter. So I don't know. Like,
Yeah, it goes everywhere. I gotta pee really bad, so we're about to end it up. I want to ask
please
you.
go pee.
I want to ask you one last thing though before I go pee and we end it. Where do you think men should find women today? If you just could sum it up really quick and easy.
Okay, real quick and easy. I think that, well, one, I think men and women, but men should, one, like in networking and social groups, and if you're going to do it in church, don't, not just on church on a Sunday, number one, don't just go to church to meet women, go to church because like you like believe in that prescription. Okay, like don't
Not
just
for
go to
women. Not
yes,
for women at
don't
all.
just go to church for
Yeah.
that. Okay,
Yes.
however, if you do go to church and that's like you want to be a practicing Christian, or you are, or if you're not, join social groups, social circles. I'm not saying it has to be on dating apps. There are actual online apps like Meetup, like you can, like, is that bridge in between that, like any sort of like niche thing that you enjoy that you would find on Discord, you can find it in IRL. When it comes to gaming shit, like when it comes to sports, when it comes to networking and any sort of like interest, or better yet, create your fucking own.
Yeah. That's
Create your own. So
yeah.
like
That's what I'm teaching is like how to go create your own. That's honestly the best thing for.
create your own and utilize your fucking friends.
Yep. Utilize who's around you.
Yes, and
I,
that's my quick way to summarize it.
yeah, I can't say thank you enough for doing this, Lauren,
Yeah,
and
of course.
being our moderator in the middle and everything. You really killed it. I knew that you would do good at that. So next, guys,
Thanks.
I might have another debate next week anyway. It's watching. We might do another one next week. I'm trying to line it up right now. It is a pain in the ass to get these debates, guys, because most of these people who talk shit on me on Twitter or in comments on other things, most of them do not show up, or they don't, like, they'll say one thing and they do something else. Like, I'm trying my heart out to get multiple of these in a week, but it's fucking hard. I'm gonna, like, we'll see what we could do, but definitely next week I'll get y'all another one. Thank you, Lauren. Though I gotta go piss like a motherfucker. So we're
Go
about to
pee. Let it
like
out.
the video on y'all's way out. Please share it, guys, and I will see y'all later. Peace the fuck out.
Peace.